In 2125, 4 years after the emergence of 4 giant towers, 4 gods of misfortune with terrifying power appeared, and they each led demonic beasts to ravage the earth. Humans call them the Scourges. To survive and to continue the civilization, the Apostles, the strongest human survivors, finally united, and they launched a fierce counterattack against one of the 4 Scourges. The Apostle, who was on top of the Scourge, was holding onto a hilt and asked if they had won. He managed to pierce the Scourge's chest with a dagger, and he declared that they had suffered countless casualties, but finally they defeated Conquest, one of the 4 Scourges. The Apostle was named Yilin, and he was startled when someone called his name. A lady was about to kick Yilin in the face, and Yilin, who called her Momingmeng, was puzzled by what she was doing. But Yilin managed to dodge Momingmeng's kick, and as he grabbed her leg to prevent her from attacking once more, he remarked that she was aiming at his face, which is a bad hobby. Momingmeng was flustered, and as she asked Yilin how many times she has told him not to always rush in the front in every battle, she reminded him that he is an agile assassin, not a powerful warrior, and that he shouldn't call her Momingmeng because her name is Mo Lai. As he stood up, Yilin agreed and acknowledged that he knew Mo Lai cared about him. Mo Lai looked away from Yilin and retorted that he shouldn't flatter himself because she just doesn't want to bury his body. She was still flustered, but she seemed to be thinking about something. Mo Lai approached Yilin to wipe his face and informed him that the backup troops were coming and that he was currently the hero who had defeated one of the 4 Scourges, but he should look at his dirty face. But as Mo Lai finished her sentence, a huge sword hit her from behind and impaled both her and Yilin. Yilin was both surprised and puzzled. He recognized the man who was grinning while he was plunging his sword at them as Xiao Yang, and he couldn't help but ask why he did it when they were best friends. Xiao Yang pulled his sword, and when he heard the word friend, he laughed and explained that it was the reason why he called that a betrayal. He called Yilin an idiot and accused him of taking what should belong to him and that he should be the hero who killed Conquest. It should be him. Xiao Yang raised his sword to deliver the final blow, and he announced that he would be the hero, but Yilin would be the traitor who killed Mo Lai. Yilin was so surprised, and everything shattered. Suddenly, Yilin stood up from his seat and screamed, which surprised the other people around him. He seemed to be in a class, and when he looked at the date, he saw that it was 2121, and he was surprised that it was 4 years ago. Meanwhile, Wang Fenbai, the 40-year-old teacher in front who is unmarried, unsociable, irritable, and petty and who has the attribute of spirituality up to 3.2 with a throwing accuracy of up to 93%, was pissed at Yilin, and as he remarked that it looked like he had a problem with his tower history lesson, he asked him if he understood everything that he taught. While throwing a pen at Yilin, Wang Fenbai yelled and asked him if he could tell them what the Tower Era was. Yilin gracefully caught Wang Fenbai's pen with his hand while he was wondering if he was reborn when the current time was 4 years ago. Everyone's attention was on Yilin when he pointed the pen at the screen and pressed something. A video started to play, and Yilin stated that on November 11, 2111, 4 giant towers appeared in the sky and a red rain, which covered 3/4 of the world, fell, and the land where the red rain fell turned into scorched earth, which was no longer suitable for humans to live on. Yilin continued and explained that meanwhile, all the artificial satellites in outer space fell, so the sky became a restricted zone. It made it impossible for humans to explore and escape, and later, survivors re-established civilization and order and renamed the era from the beginning of the disaster to the Tower Era. Wang Fenbai acknowledged that it was good and that Yilin was right. But he yelled at Yilin and scolded him for answering his question instead of playing the video he prepared. Wang Fenbai's voice was so loud that it could be heard outside the school building when he ordered Yilin to stand at the end of the classroom and reflect on himself. A few moments later, the school bell rang, and the students started to walk out of school. Yilin was also out of school, but he was just standing there, thinking about how the end of the world would come in 4 years. He recalled that 4 Scourges with terrifying power will appear, and they are like final bosses who show up in the final round of a game and have absolute overwhelming power, and they will only want to destroy everything they see. The 4 Scourges were conquest, hunger, war, and death. Only the Apostles, who were human elites summoned by the Tower, could fight against the Scourges, and they could enter the inner world created by the Tower and finish all kinds of tasks as if they were completing an instance, and they could obtain power beyond the limits of humans and become the final protection of humans. But after the Scourges showed their overwhelming power, many Apostles turned traitors, and they surrendered to the Scourges and were willing to slaughter humans. Suddenly, Yilin was pulled out of his thoughts when someone approached him and asked him what was on his mind. It was Xiao Yang, and as he playfully hit Yilin in the head with his book, he asked Yilin if they weren't best friends and requested that he finish that day's history homework for him because good friends should help each other. Yilin stared at Xiao Yang, and he remembered the betrayal he had just committed. Without waiting for Yilin to respond, Xiao Yang started walking away, and he demanded that Yilin hurry up and finish it that night because he had to hand it in the next morning while thinking that Yilin was a loser. Suddenly, lightning struck, and the sky began to rumble. Rain started pouring while Xiao Yang was walking away from Yilin. Yilin was pissed, and when he heard Xiao Yang mention tomorrow, he foretold that Xiao Yang would die that night. The sky was rumbling as the rain continued to fall. At the Xiao family residence, someone seemed to be counting and announced 180 kilograms and 215 kilograms. The person punched something and reported 200 kilograms. It was Xiao Yang who was practicing on a machine, and as he stated 195 kilograms, he laughed and proclaimed that he was a genius, so even Tyson couldn't defeat him. Suddenly, the lights went off, accompanied by the sound of something sizzling, and Xiao Yang inquired what was going on, why all the lights were suddenly off, and if it was a power outage. A system screen suddenly appeared in front of him, asking him if he believed that there were gods, and Xiao Yang questioned what it was. Xiao Yang was surprised when something swift attacked him from behind and declared that it was his death notice. It was Yilin, and when Xiao Yang recognized him, he called him a loser and demanded to know why. Yilin was pissed when he heard Xiao Yang ask him why, and he responded that it was what he had asked him 4 years later. While Xiao Yang was writhing in pain and lying in his own pool of blood, Yilin explained that since he was reborn, he must take revenge, and he won't wait until Xiao Yang does something evil. The system notified Yilin that an unregistered person killed a probationary apostle, so the qualifications were being transferred, and Yilin was amused that Xiao Yang was dead. Yilin recalled that there were only 2 ways to become an apostle. First, there is a certain chance that one would get summoned by the tower when their total attributes of power, agility, and spirituality exceed 10. And second, one could kill an apostle or a probationary apostle to take their qualification. And the system notified Yilin that the transfer of qualification succeeded, so he was registered in the area of the Tower of Death with register ID 1010. A chest suddenly appeared in front of Yilin, and the system notified him that he had obtained a treasure chest left by probationary apostle 998. As he opened the chest, Yilin expressed that he was thankful that, compared with his previous life, he became an apostle faster. While a powerful aura swirled around Yilin, the system notified him that the chest had been opened successfully and he had obtained a skill, Aura Hiding, which is a C-grade active skill that could reduce his presence by 40%, but the effect disappears once the user moves. A huge portal appeared in front of Yilin, and the system notified him that it had detected that he had an unknown module, and asked him if he wanted to load it or not. Yilin was puzzled when he read about the unknown module, but he agreed. The system notified Yilin that the unknown module was loading, and he was sucked into the portal. Yilin was transported into a place that has a glowing tree, and the system notified him that the Scourge module had been loaded successfully, so his talent skill tree had been activated and he could change or upgrade his skills. He was surprised when he saw that it was the Scourge module, and as he wondered if he got the skill panel of conquest after he killed it. He commented that apostles could only have a few skills at most, while Scourges have a skill tree where each light ball represents a skill. As Yilin stood in front of a tree, he questioned why he hadn't seen that module before. He asked if the inner world created by the tower is an instance in a game, where the apostles are the players and the Scourges are the final bosses. Yilin remarked that it was to say that he took Xiao Yang's qualification as a probationary apostle and re-established the link with the tower, and the tower activated the Scourge module he owned. But Yilin was astonished when the system notified him that the module had been detected to be damaged, and that its original skills were broken and could not be used. He was disappointed that he couldn't use the skill of conquest. But Yilin smiled and stated that with that talent skill tree, he could get as many skills as he wanted, and most importantly, he could also change and upgrade his skills, and all he needed to do was place the skills he obtained from the inner world on the skill balls of the module. Imagining a fierce knight, Yilin got excited and exclaimed that he would be able to make himself a new Scourge. But he realized what he just uttered, so he cleared his throat while he remarked that he should calm down and not be overexcited. And as he wondered how he could become a Scourge, he noted that he just wanted to gain the power to match them. Suddenly, the system screen appeared again and asked Yilin if he believed that there were gods. Yilin inquired if the tower was summoning him and pressed the yes button. The system notified Yilin that the passage to the inner world was opening and he was about to enter the trial task of probationary apostle, so it requested that he get ready. Yilin was sucked into another portal, and he declared that he was coming for the inner world. Meanwhile, an airplane that was flying was surrounded by the gloomy skies. Someone on the airplane who just woke up heard the AI purser of the flight introduce themselves as Sweetie, and as it welcomed them to Flight 444, it informed them that it would be with them all the time during that trip. It was Yilin, and as he unbuckled his seatbelt, he wondered if the trial mission was on a plane. Yilin recalled that he missed it because since the tower appeared, the sky had become a restricted area for humans when someone suddenly screamed and demanded to know where they were. 4 other people appeared on the plane: Wang Qing, who was a CEO's secretary, Wei, who was a senior programmer, Jack, who was a condemned prisoner, and Ma Beabao, who was a retired old man, and Sweetie explained that they were passing through the thundercloud area above the sea, so the plane may have different degrees of turbulence, but normally they won't die, so she requested that they don't panic and that because of fate, the 5 of them, who don't know each other, took flight 444. Suddenly, the sound of a loud thud filled the cabin, and Sweetie remarked that it was a pity because the expected accident happened. As the plane began to plunge, Sweetie asked if the 5 people on flight 444 would die together in a horrible way, and she announced that the trial began, which had the main task of surviving. After hearing Sweetie's announcement, Yilin remarked that the malicious prologue sounded familiar. Suddenly, Ma Beabao called everyone's attention, and as he stated that they all heard it, he asked what was going on and if they had been drugged and kidnapped. Wai was horrified, and he insisted that it was impossible because they were in a plane, and planes were out of service 10 years ago, and he was working overtime at his company, so he asked if it was a dream. On the other hand, Jack was liberated, and as he asked the others if they all must have chosen yes, he laughed and proclaimed that it was said that bad people won't end well, but he would declare that God wanted him to live. Wang King suddenly scoffed and declared that men are all unreliable because when something happens, they can only shout, and she asked them if she was right that they must figure out how to escape at the moment. Yilin glanced at Wang King, and he noted that it should be her first time in an inner world, but she seemed too calm. He suggested that everyone should look down because there should be a first aid kit under their seats, and as he crouched down to get his kit, he explained that to reduce the difficulty of the beginner's task, the tower would prepare some survival items for the participants. The box contained a fruit knife that could be used to peel fruit and an old parachute that hasn't been maintained and repaired for many years, and when Yilin saw those, he immediately commented that the first aid kit was the item prepared by the tower for the participants. Yilin inspected the old parachute, and he observed that whether it will open or not depends on luck, but according to the tradition of the tower, the one who uses that to escape will definitely die. He asserted that the old parachute was not for them to escape but a trap to set them up against each other. Ma Beaba was astonished when he opened his box, and as he asked Yilin how he knew it, he revealed that he had a life jacket in his box. But he was confused when he mentioned that the other item was stale coconut juice. On the other hand, Jack got a life jacket and a helmet, and he asked if it meant that he needed to jump off the plane with those. Meanwhile, Wai was cursing and was in a panic as he exclaimed that there was nothing under his seat, and he asked why he didn't even have a box. When Yilin heard that Wai had no box, he remarked that there was something wrong because even if there was a hidden danger in those items, the tower would prepare enough of them. Suddenly, while having a weird smile on her face, Wang King exclaimed that it was great, and that she was so lucky that she had a parachute pack. The other men were astonished when they saw what was in Wang King's box. Wai quickly lunged at Wang King to choke her, and while Wang King was wheezing, he demanded that she should give the parachute to him because he wanted to live. But Wai was confused and surprised when someone grabbed him by the collar and dragged him. It was Jack, and Wai crashed into the floor with a loud thud as he threw him. He called Wai a sucker and commanded that he should listen. Jack gave Wai a barrage of punches from behind, and he claimed that the parachute was his. On the other hand, Wang King was looking at the parachute Yilin was holding onto. Yilin observed that Wang King was so calm at the beginning, but she shouted loudly that she had a parachute, so she was deliberately causing quarrels and fighting, which was vicious, but he wondered what she could get. Jack was startled when Yilin suddenly approached him and asked if he wanted a parachute. Yilin handed his parachute to Jack and offered that he could use it. While Jack was speechless as he accepted Yilin's parachute, Yilin suggested that it would be better to get rid of it as soon as possible. Jack sneered at Yilin, and as he asked him if he wanted to perform his heroics, he agreed and acknowledged that he would help him. The airplane's doors opened with a loud clanging sound. Jack immediately jumped off the plane while wearing the parachute, and he laughed as he shouted that the wind was so noisy that day and that there was only one parachute left, so they should fight for it. Yilin was smiling discreetly as he muttered that it was the first time he had seen someone so happy to die. He turned his attention back to the plane and pointed out that, as long as it was a task, there must be a solution. Yilin concluded that since there is no life-saving tool in the cabin, it must be in the cockpit. Suddenly, a hand fell on the floor. Yilin was so surprised when a body suddenly fell in front of him that he couldn't help but ask if there was a man. He immediately recalled that the radio stated that there were only 5 passengers on that plane. But currently there are 6. Yilin immediately was apprehensive as he whispered that something different was among them. Yilin looked under the seat and he saw that there was a box. When he opened it, the system notified him that he had obtained a life jacket and an ordinary emergency hammer. Looking at the dead man behind him, Yilin remarked that since the tower had prepared an item for him, it could be confirmed that the poor man was also a participant in that task. So he wondered if it was really a novice mission because as soon as the game started, a participant was killed by someone. Yilin thought about Wai, who has no box under his seat, and Wang King, who was too calm when she first entered the inner world, and he wondered which one was the killer. He noticed Wang King fighting with Ma Beabao over the parachute, and as Wang King called Ma Beabao an old bastard and asked him what he was doing when it was her parachute. Ma Beabao asked her if she didn't know that she should respect the old and that she should voluntarily give him her parachute. Wang King suddenly screamed when she accidentally let go of the parachute and bumped into Yilin, who was behind her. She turned to Yilin and seductively whispered that he should get the parachute back because it was their only chance to escape. But Yilin responded that if that was the only chance for Wang King to escape, he wondered why she let it go so easily. Yilin smiled as he acknowledged that he knew there was something wrong and that Wang King should be the killer. He shook Wang King off his arm, and Wang King was surprised. While Wang King was on the ground, complaining that it hurt, Yilin grabbed the ordinary emergency hammer, and he declared that Wang King was a clumsy actress who just wanted to use the useless parachute to put them against each other. A loud clanging sound filled the cabin when Yilin hit the door behind him with it, and he noted that it was an ordinary hammer. As Yilin entered the cockpit, Wang King tried to stop him and exclaimed that he was running in the wrong direction. The cockpit was on fire with the pilot dead, and as soon as Yilin entered, Sweetie announced that probationary Apostle 937 was dead and that there were 7 minutes left before Flight 444 would crash. Yilin saw the brand new parachute behind the pilot, a special parachute for the captain of Flight 444 with its quality guaranteed and being 100% useful, and he muttered that he knew that the old parachute was a trap and that the parachute was useful. On the other hand, Ma Beabao was already ready to jump off the plane while wearing the old parachute, and he boasted that veterans are abler than recruits. So Wang King lost and he won, so it was goodbye. But as he was about to step out of the plane, someone inquired Ma Beabao if he didn't hear the death notice. It was Yilin, and while carrying the brand new parachute, he questioned Ma Beabao, who he thought had just died, and Ma Beabao was astonished. Ma Beabao stated that Jack was dead, so there was something wrong with the old parachute. He quickly grabbed the handle of the door to stop himself from falling out of the plane, and he crouched on the floor as he let out a sigh of relief and uttered that it was close. Suddenly, Wai woke up, and as he groaned that his head hurt so much, he cursed Jack, who was so cruel. He noticed the parachute Ma Beabao was wearing, and Ma Beabao was alarmed. Wai charged towards Ma Beabao and demanded that he should give it to him because he deserves to live, which made Ma Beabao curse, and he shouted that Wai shouldn't come over because he could give it to him. But Wai was already focused on getting the parachute, so he did not listen to Ma Beabao, and insisted that he should give it to him while he continued to charge forward. The two of them fell off the plane when Wai tackled Ma Beabao. After grabbing the parachute from Ma Beabao, Wai laughed hysterically as he exclaimed that he finally got his parachute, while Ma Beabao was in tears as he cried out, and he cursed Wai as he wailed that he didn't want to die. Meanwhile, someone was about to grab Yilin from behind. Yilin was startled when Wang King suddenly hugged him from behind and whispered that it looked like he had found the parachute, so he should take her with him, but Yilin asked her if she killed the participant in the front row and stole the box of Wai. Wang King was surprised when Yilin grabbed her by the throat and remarked that with what she did, even if someone found out that there was an extra participant, they would only suspect Wai. Yilin slammed Wang King on the floor and he stated that she took 2 precautions, so she was very considerate, but unfortunately, he was still better than her because he noticed that she just entered the inner world. But she has been abnormally calm all the time, like she doesn't have much desire for life. Wang King acknowledged that Yilin was good as a beginner as he saw through her trick, and that it looked like she should have killed him first at the beginning. She disappeared into black smoke, and as Yilin jumped away from the smoke, she taunted him if he wanted to escape. Suddenly, something came out of the smoke at an extreme speed. As the smoke dissipated, it revealed Wang King's true form, and she got her tentacles wrapped around Yilin and hissed that she had him. Wang King loomed over Yilin and murmured that she would eat him up slowly and requested that he scream louder so that she could enjoy it. Sweetie suddenly reported that probationary apostles 897 and 1002 were dead, and Yilin observed that it turned out that Wang King was a death spirit, and it was whispered that death spirits used to be apostles, but they died in the inner world. Yilin explained that the souls of those apostles can't rest in peace as they are imprisoned in the tower, and are full of resentment, so in the end, they become death spirits that sabotage and kill the apostles. Black smoke suddenly surrounded Yilin, and the system notified him that he used aura hiding, which reduced his presence by 40%. Wang King hesitated, and she got so confused that she asked where Yilin was. She was looking around when Yilin replied if she mentioned that he wanted to run away, and she acknowledged that Yilin was right in front of her. Yilin twirled the knife he had in his hand, and as he charged forward, he declared that he never wanted to run away. He tightened his grip on the knife. Yilin swung it at Wang King and slashed her. Wang King was amused, and she remarked that, as a beginner, Yilin even has skills, which was a surprise. But she began to gather a powerful orb of energy in her hand and declared that Yilin shouldn't forget that she used to be an apostle, so he was not the only one with skills. Wang King threw his energy at Yilin, and he gritted his teeth as he blocked Wang King's attack. She boasted that compared to Yilin's rubbish, her skill, Steel Eyes, was much more advanced as she could turn all her bones and muscles into steel, so in other words, she had an immortal body. Yilin acknowledged that Wang King had no Achilles heel. He still lunged at Wang King, and he shouted that he would shatter her into pieces. Yilin swung his knife as he used his skill, Sharp Shock, which could cause resonance by constant vibration to destroy the original structure of a solid object, and Wang King was surprised that he had another skill. Wang King exclaimed that it was impossible, and as she asked how a newbie who just came to the inner world for the first time could have two skills, Yilin responded that he created his own fighting skills. As Yilin continued to attack, he revealed that after rebirth, he had lost the skills he had obtained from the tower, but the fighting skills he had created after going through hundreds of battles were engraved in his memory. Wang King blocked Yilin's attack with her arm, and when she heard that it was self-created skills, she scoffed that Yilin should stop bluffing and that she doesn't care what trick he was playing because he can't change the fact that she is immortal, so his attack is just a massage for her. But Yilin did not stop, and he prepared to lunge for another attack, so Wang King teased him if he didn't hear her and if he was fond of massaging her. Wang King stopped blocking Yilin's attacks and mocked that he should hit her harder and at least let her feel a bit of pain. Yilin was out of breath after a series of attacks, and the knife he was holding was already damaged. The knife in his hand shattered. Wang King taunted Yilin why he stopped, and as she called him sucker, she derided that he was just talking big, and she asked how she could enjoy the hunting when her prey was a loser. As she lunged at Yilin, Wang King sneered that it was a bummer and that he should go to hell. In that situation, Yilin was surprisingly calm, and he inquired if Wang King hadn't noticed something. Yilin disclosed that Wang King's body has been full of cracks after countless vibrations. He smiled and poked Wang King. The small force had a large impact, and as Wang King's body shattered, she exclaimed how it was possible when she was immortal and how she would lose to a beginner. Yilin commented that if Wang King were immortal, she wouldn't have become a death spirit. With only her body remaining intact on the floor, Wang King asked Yilin if he claimed that he had won, and she asserted no because they were all toys of that thing. Wang King laughed and warned that one day Yilin will die, and she will be waiting for him inside the thing. But Yilin just smiled as he hovered her foot over Wang King's head. He crushed Wang King's head by stomping on it, and he muttered that he had enough of her bullfish. Suddenly, the system notified Yilin that he had killed an E-level death spirit, and obtained 800 chaos points, while Sweetie announced that there were 3 minutes left before flight 444 would crash. Yilin wore the brand new parachute, and as he stood over by the door of the plane, he pondered what chaos points was. He jumped off the plane, and he reflected that he had killed death spirits before, but he had never obtained or heard of the chaos points. When the plane crashed into the sea, the system notified Yilin that he had completed the main task of surviving and had an evaluation grade of S. So based on his performance, he unlocked the storage space and communication and obtained the qualification of first stage apostle. Yilin was calmly floating in the water while the system notified him that he gained a 5% difficulty bonus, a 25% evaluation bonus, and 1,300 death points for the death point reward settlement. He also got a random reward where he obtained the item Ordinary Emergency Hammer with the new skill Mind Shock. His current level was also upgraded to level 4, and that his body was being repaired, and after repairing his body, the system sent him back. A day later, police cars were parked in front of the Xiao residence, and someone mentioned that the deceased 18-year-old Xiao Yang was a male third-grade student at Qingcheng High School, and all 3 attributes of his were added up to 10 when he started school. It was a man talking to a lady whom he called Ms. Gu, and he remarked that even if she was just slightly better than Xiao Yang, it was a pity as he was talented. The lady was Gu Sinan, team leader of the Joint Investigation Department, and she requested that the man should get to the point, to which he immediately agreed. The man stated that Xiao Yang had been living alone for many years. He continued, and based on the preliminary investigations, the postmortem lividity on the body has already spread, suggesting a time of death between 7 p.m. last night and early that morning. And the scene showed no signs of struggle or movement of the body, and there was no evidence of blood spatter or interruption in the blood spray pattern, and the cause of death was a single clean cut to the throat. The man was Zhu Jiang, a member of the Joint Investigation Department, and he reported that no further evidence was found at the scene and more specific details could only be determined through further investigation. So it seems that the murderer is well prepared and it was very likely to be a professional killer. Gu Sinan instructed that everyone should search carefully for any possible traces left by the murderer. Everyone stood in attention and affirmed yes to Gu Sinan. Gu Sinan inquired Zhu Jiang, who called the police, and Zhu Jiang looked behind him as he replied that it was the boy who was the victim's classmate. They were looking at Yilin, who was giving a statement to one of the members of the investigation department. Gu Sinan suddenly approached Yilin and asked for his name, and when he answered his name, she queried for his gender, which made Yilin speechless. Yilin gave Gu Sinan a look of disbelief, and he replied that it was not that hard to tell. Gu Sinan demanded that Yilin should cut the crap and answer her questions, and she stated that Xiao Yang was the only son of the CEO of Hengyang Medical Device Company in Qingcheng City, so the victim at that time was not an ordinary person. Yilin was annoyed while he looked away from Gu Sinan, and when she noticed that, she inquired why he wouldn't dare look her in the eyes and if there was something he didn't tell her. With a straight face, Yilin pointed at the investigator beside him and indicated that he had asked him all those questions earlier. The investigator handed a file to Gu Sinan and explained that he already took Yilin's statement that Xiao Yang did not go to school that day. So Yilin's class teacher allowed him to come there because he and Xiao Yang were good friends, and there was also no problem with his identity. He added that Yilin's parents work away from home most of the time, so he and Xiao Yang were in a similar situation and had a good relationship, so it was not surprising that they knew each other's door access codes. While Gu Sinan checked on the file given to her, Yilin asked if he could go. Gu Sinan continued to read the file while the investigator enthusiastically replied that, of course, Yilin could, but he should remind him that the murderer may be a dangerous professional killer and that he should think about what would happen if the murderer knew that it was him who provided the information. So he hoped he could stay in Qingcheng City before they find the murderer and cooperate with them, as it was for his own safety so they could also protect him, to which Yilin unenthusiastically agreed. As Yilin walked away, he stated that he had taken care of the traces on the spot and the surveillance video last night before he left, and he called the police because he wanted to know the actions of the Joint Investigation Department, and as for the body of Xiao Yang, it was merely a bait. He proclaimed that 4 years later, disasters would befall their world and the end of the world would come, so there would be dead bodies everywhere. He continued that those hidden villains would surrender to the Scourges and start to kill other humans, so that time, he would get rid of those traitors in advance, one by one. The sun started to set, and evening came. At Yilin's home, someone welcomed him and noted that it was July 9, 2121. It was his AI housekeeper, Ava, and after Yilin mentioned that Xiao Yang was dead, Mo Lai would be safe, and it was time to meet her. He called Ava and requested that she should prepare some coffee, add 0.5 grams of extracted salt, and keep it warm, to which Ava agreed. Yilin explained that after the destruction of all the satellites, the global wireless network was disrupted, but it was replaced by local networks connected through signal towers on a city-to-city basis, and the larger underground wired network Spider 1, which is an AI center, and the networks and communications across cities must all be connected through the Spider Silk extended by Spider 1, which is essentially the fiber optical cables used in the past. He began typing his password on the phone, and the system notified him that the primary and secondary passwords were correct, but the tertiary password is an audio password, so it requested that he speak it in a voice of more than 80 dB, and the password was, "I'm the most stupid person in the world." Yilin was speechless for a moment when he heard it, and the system requested that he speak it as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would be blacklisted forever, and the countdown began at 10 seconds. He reluctantly admitted that he was the most stupid person in the world. But the system reported that it was only 56 dB, which was an insufficient volume, and it failed to record it, so it requested that he redo it after he heard the beep. Yilin yelled as he cursed at his phone and complained that it was too embarrassing. But he still yelled and confessed that he was the most stupid person in the world, and the system confirmed that it was recorded successfully. Suddenly, someone spoke on the other line and asked Yilin who he was, and he responded that finally he could hear Mo Lai's voice again. Yilin revealed that Mo Lai still didn't know him in that era, and Mo Lai fell silent. 1 minute later, Yilin sat on his couch, and Mo Lai demanded that he should prove something. Yilin called her Mo Mingmeng, and Mo Lai immediately recognized that it was the baby name that her late grandma gave her, but she never mentioned it to anyone else, so nobody would know it. Mo Lai asked Yilin for his address, but Yilin queried if she finally believed him, so Mo Lai reiterated that Yilin should give her his address. A few moments later, Yilin was resting, and he stated that he had provided his address, and she informed him that she would be there at 22, so he should check his attributes at the moment, and he requested that the system should give him the Apostle attribute panel. The system did what Yilin requested, and when he saw the attribute panel, he was surprised and inquired what it was. Yilin asked if luck and charisma weren't two attributes that can't be changed and why they were reduced when he completed the quest. He sighed and muttered that he should forget it because charisma is not all about a pretty face, and as for luck, it was never something he could count on. The system also displayed Yilin's active skills, which were aura hiding and mind shock. While facing the skill tree, Yilin observed that sure enough, the skill he created wouldn't be displayed on that panel when the system reported that the Scourge module had detected a new upgradable skill. And as it inquired if he wanted to replace the damaged skill in the module and upgrade the new one, Yilin agreed. The system confirmed that it used 500 chaos points to upgrade the aura hiding to shadow, and his current remaining chaos points were 300. Auras swirled around Yilin as the skill was being upgraded, and he noted that it was no wonder that he didn't get any chaos points after he killed those death spirits in his previous life, because it turned out that he needed the Scourge module to upgrade his skills, and the upgraded skill could reduce his presence by 70% at the moment, so if he continued to upgrade it, he wondered if it would be able to completely hide him. Yilin instructed the system to upgrade the shadow, but the system reported that there were insufficient chaos points, so it failed to upgrade, and Yilin requested to upgrade Mind Shock. But the system reported the same, that there were insufficient chaos points. He grinned as he stated that he could get more chaos points if he needed more, and it was good to know that skills could be upgraded more than once. Suddenly, Yilin noticed a skill fragment floating in front of him, and he wondered if it was because he put a new skill into the Scourge module that it was squeezed out. Yilin touched the skill fragment. Suddenly, the system screen appeared, and Yilin exclaimed that it was the fragments page. Yilin was back in his room, and as he sat back on his couch, he observed that 3 skill fragments could be crafted into a new skill, which was great because the Scourge module has such a huge talent skill tree that he couldn't imagine how many skills he could get. He was astonished when his phone suddenly fell out of his hand. The phone fell on the floor with a loud thud, and the screen cracked, which made Yilin think that he had become unlucky. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. While still inspecting his phone, Yilin opened the door without looking up, and as he called Mo Lai Momingmeng, he noted that she was 2 minutes late. A foot greeted Yilin when he opened the door, and someone shouted that he should go to hell. It was Mo Lai, but Yilin managed to avoid her kick, and he teased that she had already started to kick someone in the face at that age because she was aiming at his face, which was a bad hobby. Mo Lai sat on Yilin's couch, and she was pissed as she stated that she doesn't care who Yilin is, but if he dares to call her by that name again, she will swear that she will kick him to death. Her expression was dark as she declared that she would be very cruel. Yilin explained that it was just a baby name, so he doesn't know why Mo Lai hates to be called by that name so much, and as he handed her a cup of warm drink, he remarked that he believed that she would. As she accepted the drink, Mo Lai immediately put on her glasses, and a system notified her that the analysis was done and there were no harmful substances exceeding the standards, so she could drink it. The system also notified Mo Lai that the insect-type miniature bombs were ready and could be activated at any time. Yilin commented that Mo Lai is indeed a genius of technology, and it was good to see that she knew so much advanced technology, but in his mind, he was wondering if Mo Lai was going to blow up his place once she felt offended. Mo Lai retorted that Yilin shouldn't act like he knew her because he was a stranger who knew her encrypted phone number and even that name, so she wouldn't come there unprepared. Suddenly, she was shocked when she tasted her drink. Mo Lai quickly inquired if Yilin knew her favorite type of coffee, and as she wondered if it was a coincidence, she remembered that Yilin mentioned that she still didn't know him in that era. She asked Yilin who he was and if he was going to claim that he was from the future, and she stated that if Yilin is a time traveler, he will be an extremely rare research object. Yilin was troubled as he responded that apostles couldn't tell ordinary people about the tower and the inner world, otherwise they would receive severe punishment, so he wondered how he should explain it to her. Mo Lai was startled when Yilin suddenly approached her and whispered that he would tell her a secret that he shouldn't disclose to anyone else. She immediately raised her legs to kick Yilin, and she warned that he should stay away from her. But Mo Lai was taken aback. Yilin managed to dodge her kick again, and with their faces close to each other, Yilin revealed that he was actually an angel who had been protecting her secretly, and he confessed that he revealed himself because he wanted her to pay him back. Mo Lai was flustered, and she retorted that she would take Yilin as her research subject, but she queried him if he was thinking about dating her. Yilin stood up, and as he questioned if she didn't believe him, Mo Lai mocked him by asking who would believe such sweet nothings when it was 2121 and if he was a time traveler from 2021. Mo Lai was surprised that she cursed when Yilin suddenly disappeared in front of her. She put on her glasses and noted that her electronic glasses couldn't detect any biological electric waves, so Yilin was completely gone. Meanwhile, the system notified Yilin that a channel to the inner world was open, and it was detected that his current level was 4, so he would be directly teleported to the 4th floor, so it requested that he get ready. Yilin commented that level 4 was more of an overall rating of his strength that the tower gave him rather than it being his level, and the tower would send apostles to different floors based on its rating on them. When Yilin got teleported to the 4th floor, which was a mountainous area, the system welcomed him and stated that the place was the legendary Giwu Mountain, where people and ghosts were a long time ago, and finally, 5 young ghost hunters came to that place through the ghost fog, and with each of them having their own ghost-slashing blade, they killed many fierce ghosts and brought a dim light of peace to the Gyewu Mountain. The system informed that the trial begins with the task of killing the Ghost King and that everyone would be dead if the mission failed. But it gave a warm tip that when it's dark, they should keep the door closed. And Yilin remarked that the plot summary was still thrilling. Suddenly, a girl was running through the forest while screaming. When she saw Yilin, she cried out that he should run because there was a ghost. Yilin quickly ran in the direction where the girl came from when he heard about the ghost, and he wondered if it was about some supernatural being, and he pondered what would happen if he killed some ghosts when he could get chaos points if he killed death spirits. When the girl noticed Yilin going the other way, she called out that he should wait and that he shouldn't go that way because there is a ghost that eats humans. A few moments later, some bodies were lying down in a pile near a dead tree, and loud cracking sounds filled the area. While Yilin was walking in the forest, the girl was walking behind him, so he asked her why she was following him. The girl trembled, and she whispered that the ghost was eating her dad. Suddenly, they came across a monster that was surrounded by vultures while a body was lying beneath it, and the girl stuttered as she exclaimed that it was a ghost. While the ghost roared ferociously, the girl nervously mentioned that it was coming towards them. The girl was puzzled when Yilin suddenly lifted her up, and as he remarked that she screamed so loudly, he asked her if he was trying to attract the ghost. She accused Yilin of using a cute girl as a human shield and called him a despicable human being, while the ghost, who was about to attack Yilin, stopped in its tracks. When Yilin heard the girl call him a human being, he asked her if she was not human and if she just called someone else dad to fool him, and he used his skill, Shadow. The ghost got confused, while the girl was surprised that Yilin had disappeared. Yilin suddenly appeared behind the ghost, and he was amused and inquired if the ghost didn't attack the girl. He stabbed the ghost in the back and commented that, sure enough, the ghost and the girl were on the same team. Meanwhile, crows were flying around the village marker for Shadow Village. Odamai, when Manny, Lai Cheng, and Pan Zhengyi were walking together, and as when Manny counted. She was puzzled and noted that there were only people there when the plot summary indicated that there were 5 ghost hunters, so she asked where the last one was. On the other hand, the system notified Yilin that he was sent to the wrong coordinates, so he has digressed from the main storyline. While the system notified Yilin that he was still alive, so it was revising the storyline. The ghost suddenly healed itself. The ghost attacked Yilin with his claws, and Yilin managed to dodge it. Meanwhile, Yilin was surprised when he read about the wrong coordinates, and he observed that it was interesting because he ran into an extremely rare event, and that he did hear that if an apostle's luck is too low, when he enters the inner world, there is a very low probability that he will end up in the wrong place. Yilin noted that bad luck to the extreme is being lucky because the so-called wrong place is a hidden event, and he used his skill, Mind Shock, which inflicts a stunning status on a single target within 200 meters and will be influenced by the user's spirituality and the target's willpower. When the ghost got stunned, the system notified Yilin that it had replanned the route for him, so it requested that he go to the village on the west to learn the ghost killing skills and become a real ghost hunter, and it gave him a warning that due to the wrong coordinates, he hadn't learned the ghost killing skills so his attacks wouldn't kill the ghost. Yilin got a wicked smile when he heard that he wouldn't kill the ghost, and he responded that he wouldn't believe it because he had come up with 100 ways to kill the ghost, so they should try them one by one, which alarmed the ghost, while the system requested that he stop resisting and go back to the main storyline. The ghost was screaming in pain while its blood splattered all over the place as Yilin tried the ways he had come up with, and Yilin asked the ghost if its brain doesn't control its actions because it could still move after he destroyed it. He added that the heart was not the weak spot either, but he should let him stab it a few more times, and when he saw that its limbs could grow back after he cut them off, he remarked that the ghost was a tough guy. The girl was terrified by what Yilin was doing, and as she exclaimed that Yilin was too cruel, she asked if he was a psychopath and concluded that she should run, otherwise she would become his next prey. The system declared that Yilin won, and as compensation, he obtained the achievement You Are Just Too Stubborn, and he will be rewarded with 666 chaos points, which made Yilin scoff, and he commented that it was obviously a hidden event for unlucky players, so the system shouldn't make it sound like a system bug. Yilin smiled at the ghost, who was in tears, and as he called it his ghost buddy, he thanked it and informed it that it could go. While the ghost ran away, the system stated that the Scourge module had detected a new upgradable skill, and as it asked Yilin if he wanted to replace the damaged skill in the module and upgrade the new one, Yilin replied that he had enough chaos points to upgrade a skill again, so he should upgrade it. The system notified Yilin that it used 999 chaos points to upgrade Mind Shock to Jinx, and he got 1 skill fragment, so he currently has 0 remaining chaos points and 2 skill fragments. Yilin gained Jinx, an active skill that has the requirement that Yilin declare let the world feel pain from that moment on to use it and could inflict a random debuff, chaos, slowness, stunning, fear, confinement, enchantment, blindness, etc. on a single target that he sees, and there is a 30% chance that one of the debuffs mentioned will work on the target. On the other hand, the girl was cursing in her mind while running away, and she wondered how she ran into such a pervert, but she realized that she was the ghost. The girl was horrified when someone slashed her back while calling her a little girl and stated that there was no hurry. It was Yilin, and as the girl lay in her own pool of blood, he suggested that she should stop pretending that she was dead because the other ghost didn't die after being cut so many times, and he only gave her one strike. The girl sat down, trembling, and she cursed as she complained that Yilin had stabbed her back. Her eyes turned black and her iris red, and she asked Yilin if she was not cute enough. The girl howled as her nails grew long. But as she charged at Yilin, she was confused when he commanded, "Let the world feel pain." From that moment on, Yilin's face was terrifying, and as he inquired if the question was for him, his skill, Jinx, placed the random effect of fear on the girl. The girl lost consciousness due to fear, and her mouth was foaming as she fell to the ground. Yilin approached the girl and remarked that her psychological resilience is a bit low, and as he questioned how she could be a ghost, he observed that the way to use his skill was too embarrassing. Suddenly, a lady in red traditional clothing appeared behind Yilin, and he was horrified. The girl called the lady her mom, and she claimed that it was Yilin who bullied her. Yilin turned to the lady and questioned her for being called mom, which puzzled the lady. When the lady got angry, Yilin quickly ran away, and as the girl remarked that he was running away, the hair of the lady chased after Yilin. Yilin ran towards the trees, which got easily cut off by the hair of the lady that was chasing him, and he admitted that he hadn't learned the ghost killing skill yet, so he had to get rid of the ghost in red, and he needed to go to the village in the west as soon as possible to learn the ghost killing skill. But as Yilin looked behind him, he saw that the hair of the ghost in red was about to reach him, and he exclaimed that she was fast, so in that case, he might as well test something first. The ghost in red grabbed Yilin from behind, and while he observed that he smelled different from the villagers, so he must taste good, Yilin declared to let the world feel pain from that moment on. The ghost in red was puzzled by what Yilin asserted, and she leaned forward to take a good look at him. Yilin's skill, Jinx, was activated with the random effect of enchantment. It made the ghost in red blush as she mentioned that it was nice to meet Yilin, and as she introduced herself as Nai Hongsu, Yilin asked her if she was the Ghost King while pointing a dagger at her back. Nai Hongsu suddenly ripped her clothes open. She was trying to seduce Yilin and commented that he called her mom first, and currently he was talking about the Ghost King, so she asked him if he was trying to do some erotic roleplay with her. Yilin gently caressed Nai Hongsu's foot and remarked that it looked like she was not. He suddenly pushed her away and ordered that she should take her daughter and leave as fast as she could. Nai Hongsu trembled on the ground, and while still being seductive, she whispered that Yilin was strong and rude that it hurt her. Yilin demanded that Nai Hongsu should cut the crap and get out of his sight as soon as possible, and he mentioned that he didn't have enough energy points to launch another Jinx. Nai Hongsu quickly agreed and replied yes, and while she ran with her daughter, who was about to reprimand her, Yilin noted that the ghost there didn't seem to know the existence of the Ghost King, so he wondered what the so-called Ghost King was. The next day came, and as the sun was about to set, Yilin arrived at the village, and as the villagers exclaimed that it was great because there was another ghost hunter, he acknowledged that he had finally arrived. But he hadn't seen any farmland along the way, and neither poultry nor livestock were raised in the village, so he wondered what exactly that village relied on to survive. Lai Chang suddenly appeared, called Yilin the fifth man, and announced that he was finally there, so he should follow them as they were at the village head's house to learn about the situation, and when Yilin saw him, he wondered why he looked familiar. While a fire was blazing brightly, one of the ghost hunters stated that Yilin was the only one who hadn't arrived until that point, so they thought something had happened. But it was a relief to see him there. The 5 ghost hunters gathered around the fire, and while Lai Chang was drooling and commented that the soup smelled so good, Yilin realized that the mixed fragrance of beeswax, turpentine, and tar wasn't from the pot. Yilin glanced behind him and pointed out that the fragrance came from the village head, while the son of the village head apologized to them and explained that his father was asleep, so he would tell them about their village. The son of the village head explained that their village is located on the west side of Giwu Mountain, and it was a cursed place, so no one could leave there and common people couldn't get in. Only ghost hunters like them could get in there. He mentioned that Giwu Mountain is covered by a thick layer of fog day and night, and it looked like a huge skull wrapped in fog from afar, which is why it got the name Giwu Mountain. Because in Chinese, Giwu meant ghost fog, and those ghosts were hiding in the fog in the mountain during the day as they only came out at night. Yilin noted that ghosts only come out of the fog in the mountain at night, so it seems that those ghosts were set to be afraid of sunlight. The son of the village head continued and shared that there is a layer of fog as dark as night surrounding the place farther away from Gyewu Mountain than their village, and many villagers didn't buy that theory and wanted to leave, so they plunged into that dark fog, and sadly, they were all swallowed by the fog. No trace of them was left. He explained that over time, no one dared to enter the dark fog, and they called the circle of dark fog the man-eating ghost fog. When Yulin heard about the man-eating ghost fog, he speculated that it should be the map boundary of that inner world, and the ghosts don't know the existence of the Ghost King, which leaves out that village as the possible scope in which the Ghost King could be. Suddenly, Yulin's thoughts were disrupted when Lai Chang, beside him, suddenly shouted that he couldn't control his right hand. While his skill, Judgment Knights of Thunder, was activated, Lai Chang screamed and complained that his right hand was out of control. And as he called the Dark Fire Dragon Blade, he asked if it was calling his right hand to use him and if it had begun to yearn for the blood of the ghosts. Lai Chang quickly stood up to calm his Dark Fire Dragon Blade down and insisted that it was not the right time and he couldn't let it disturb that world. But when it was the right time, he would release it and expel the ghost in that mountain with it. But all the while, he was activating his built-in BGM and special effects skill, which has no combat attribute bonus. The son of the village head was glad and noted that they had such a powerful ghost hunter at that time, so it was wonderful because their village could finally be saved. While when Manny mentioned that Lai Chang was handsome, but Yulin was doubtful, and Oda Mai remained quiet. Yulin was horrified when he remembered that Lai Chang was the pretentious best actor with built-in BGM and special effects whom he had seen in his previous life, and all his skill was to add BGM and special effects to himself without any actual combat bonus, so they are useless except for showing off. He turned to the son of the village head and asked him where he learned about the existence of ghost hunters since he couldn't get out of there, and he noted that the village head's son never mentioned the ghost killing skill, which meant that he was not the key person who could help them learn that skill. Yulin was surprised when the village head's son revealed that long before they arrived, 3 ghost hunters actually came to their village, and one of them still lives there. He explained that one puts their life at risk once they join the cause of ghost hunting, and when the other 2 ghost hunters were killed by the ghosts, the only one who survived lost his fighting spirit and gave up his duty as a ghost hunter. Yulin politely asked the village head's son if he could take them to see the ghost hunter, and the village head's son replied of course and requested that they follow him. A few moments later, the group was standing in front of a house near the forest. One of them knocked on the door. They heard someone coughing inside the house, and when someone asked who it was, the village head's son announced that it was him and some new young ghost hunters. Everyone was alarmed when shadows suddenly surged out of the house and surrounded them. They were brought inside, and an old man without arms, who was carving a skull with his feet, remarked that those callow youths don't even know that ghost-killing skill, yet they dare call themselves ghost hunters. The old man warned that sooner or later they would die on Gyewu Mountain. Everyone was startled, and when Manny called Lai Chang and admitted that she was scared. The old man was startled when Yulin tapped him on the shoulder and asked if he knew the ghost-killing skill, and as the system notified Yulin that it was Naizu, a legendary ghost hunter, Yulin noted that the description pops up when he touches Naizu, which means that he's not an apostle but an NPC in that inner world. Yulin sniffed the lamp, and he observed that the smell of the lamp oil was the same as that of the ghost he met before, so it was just like what he thought. Suddenly, a book for the ghost-killing technique fell on the floor in front of Yulin with a loud thud, and he immediately recognized it. The other ghost hunters got their copies of the book too. And while Lai Chang was surprised when he read the book cover, when Manny was scared as she stated that should be it. Naizu suddenly declared that they got what they wanted, so they should get out of there. The door was slammed shut. Everyone was standing outside the house, and Lai Chang clicked his tongue and complained that Naizu has a bad temper. Lai Chang suddenly noticed that Pan Zhengyi was chewing something behind him, so he asked him what he was eating. Pan Zhengyi showed them that it was the Book of Ghost-Killing Essence, which is exclusive to him, and he inquired Lai Chang if he wanted to have some too. Lai Chang cursed and exclaimed that it was Ghost-Killing Essence, and as he asked Pan Zhengyi how he could eat that book and if he was crazy, Pan Zhengyi just laughed and offered him some. But instead of answering his question, Lai Chang complained and wondered why they all get black-covered ghost-killing technique, but Pan Zhengyi got red-covered Ghost-Killing Essence, which was even exclusive to him. While Lai Chang was busy complaining, when Manny called him and reported that the villagers, including the village head's son, were all gone and the doors of all houses were closed. The 5 of them were surrounded by thick fog, and Yulin asked them if they had forgotten what the village head's son mentioned before, that the ghosts were hiding in the fog in the mountain during the day. When Yulin noted that the ghost only came out at night, Lai Chang was alarmed. Oda Mai suddenly charged forward while Lai Chang tried to act calm, and as he asked Yulin if he was right that his mission should also be killing the Ghost King, he observed that fortunately they could fight together instead of killing each other in that event mode. Everyone was startled when they saw that Otamai was charging towards Yilin. Blood splattered all over the place. Yilin was able to dodge Otamai, and while she managed to behead the ghost behind him, Yilin wondered if she was trying to save him or kill him together with that ghost. When Otamai finished her attack, Yilin, who has 2.5 charisma, was kneeling on one knee, so she asked him if he was proposing to her and remarked that he didn't have to do that even if he wanted to thank her for saving his life. Suddenly, the system congratulated Yilin for learning the ghost-killing passive skill, which was the effect of using the ghost-killing technique active skill. But it could only be used in that inner world, so when Yilin read that, he lamented that it could only be used to kill ghosts. Suddenly, Otamai noticed something. She was alarmed when she saw a huge spirit materialize behind Yilin while he swung his arm and was about to lunge his dagger towards her. But Yilin's attack moved past Otamai to behead the ghost standing behind her, and she was surprised when she saw another ghost. Yilin smiled and joked that maybe it was there to kidnap his fiancée, which made Otamai blush, and she got speechless. The system notified Yilin that he killed a D-level ghost, so he obtained 1 ghost energy point, 23 chaos points, and 1 meat, and when Yilin saw the meat, he noted that, as expected, the food of those villagers comes from the ghosts killed by the NPC ghost hunters, so ghosts eat people and vice versa. Meanwhile, Lai Chang was astonished, and he cursed as he questioned if those were ghosts, while when Manny was in a panic, and she called Lai Chang as she reported that there was something in the fog. Everyone was surprised when they saw that they were surrounded by gleaming eyes, and one of them observed that ghosts were everywhere. Lai Chang started counting, but he cursed and muttered that there were too many of them, while in his mind, he thought that his skill was unfit to fight as it could only intimidate enemies, so he had to fool the other 4 people as well. He quickly used his skill, built-in special effects, and declared that everyone should listen to him because they were currently outnumbered. He asserted that they needed to weather difficulties by standing united and requested that they follow his directions as they would work as a team. But in his mind, he thought that he put himself in the safest position as a commander, and that could not only save face but also establish himself as the leader, and he admired himself for how sharp and clever he was. But Lai Chang was surprised when Manny exclaimed that everyone ran away that he couldn't help but ask her what she stated. The 2 of them were quickly surrounded by the ghost, and as the ghost charged while roaring ferociously, Lai Chang shouted at them, calling them bastards. Someone used a slashing move. It was Yilin, and as he slashed his way out of the mob of ghosts, he explained that he was sorry to tell Lai Chang that his skill is a perfect bait. And as a best actor, Lai Chang did a good job because he had something more urgent to do than kill those ghosts. Yilin was surprised and puzzled when someone scoffed and remarked that he was there. It was Pan Zhengyi, and as he stood in front of the village marker, he greeted him and noted that it was good to see his friend again. So Yilin asked Pan Zhengyi if he was waiting for him and if he wondered if Pan Zhengyi was thinking the same way as him and had been laying dumb. But Yilin got disappointed when Pan Zhengyi started hitting the village marker and proclaimed that it was time to decide the winner between them. Pan Zhengyi's sword shattered, and he cheered that it was great because the village marker was powerful indeed, and it was a worthy and formidable opponent for him. He warned that the village marker shouldn't look down on him, so it should let him fight it with his fists, and as he began hitting the village marker, Yilin walked away while slapping his palm on his face and muttered that he should never mind it. Yilin continued to run while he mused that the others all forgot something important, and that it was that killing the Ghost King, rather than killing ghosts, was the key to passing that inner world, and they don't have any time limit that time, and they even acquired the ghost killing skill with the help of NPCs. He speculated that ghosts coming at them would possibly get stronger night by night, so they would be doomed if they couldn't find the Ghost King, and that was probably why they were informed at the beginning that if they failed the mission, they would all be exterminated. Yilin recalled that Nai Hongxiu didn't know about the Ghost King, and there is a dark fog surrounding the place farther away from Gyiwu Mountain as the map boundary of that inner world, so the Ghost King could only be between Gyiwu Mountain and the dark fog. A few moments later, Yilin arrived at a village, and he observed that it was Shadow Village, but he mentioned that it was a new village. When the villagers greeted Yilin and announced that everyone should look because a new ghost hunter was there, Yilin noticed something in them. Yilin noted that the villagers looked the same as those in the starting village, but they didn't have thin faces and were not in rags, so he asked them if they were not worried about the ghosts in Gyiwu Mountain that would attack them at night. One of the villagers shared that Yilin didn't know that an old hunter with no arms came to their village before and gave each of them a skull, and that a protective talisman could protect them from attacks from the ghosts. Yilin quickly dashed away, and the villagers were surprised. While he remembered Naizu carving a skull when they met, Yilin pondered that everything in that new village was almost the same. Villagers in a different state, an old hunter with no arms, and the skull. Yilin started having speculations on what it could be. A few moments later, Yilin arrived at another shadow village, and he noted that it was a new but similar village again, so it was the past, the present, and the future. Villagers carrying skulls suddenly appeared, but their faces were starting to decay, and they were roaring while they walked. Yilin suddenly grinned while having a dark expression on his face. As he used his skill, Shadow, he asked the villagers if they were ghosts or humans. Yilin swiftly moved in a zigzag motion to eliminate the villages in his way. And when the system notified him that he had killed a half-ghost and obtained 1 ghost energy point for each and 13 by 6 chaos points, Yilin was surprised when he knew that they were half-ghost. He concluded that they could be killed without the use of the ghost killing skill, and he could also get ghost energy points by killing them. Yilin was astonished when he realized that it meant that they were both humans and ghosts. He realized that it was a trap set by Naizu. Yilin speculated that Naizu would kill the ghosts and provide meat for those villagers while he used the skulls to transform villagers into ghosts. Suddenly, more roaring half-ghosts approached Yilin from behind. Yilin started giggling while trembling when he realized something. The half-ghosts were puzzled when Yilin was evil as he turned to them and taunted them, asking if they weren't a bonus for him to get many ghost energy points at a very low risk. Yilin swiftly moved to eliminate the half-ghosts in his way, and the skulls fell to the ground. On the other hand, Naizu was still carving those skulls with his feet. He seemed to know Nai Hongxiu, as he whispered that she should just leave it to him because since they have those new ghost hunters as the sacrificial offerings, she will soon be free from the curse and leave that place. The system congratulated Yilin for accumulating 10% of the ghost energy points, which unlocked its hidden function, and 1.0 temporary total attribute point was obtained, so it requested that Yilin distribute the attribute point in the apostle panel. While the dead half-ghosts were piled on the ground, the system displayed the ghost energy ranking, where Otamai was in first place with 14.2% ghost energy points, followed by Yilin with 10.0%, Pan Zhengyi with 1.7%, and lastly both Lai Changge and Wen Mani with 0.1%. It also noted that the temporary attribute point could only work in that world, couldn't be changed after distributing it, and only the 3 main attributes, power, agility, and spirituality, could be increased. The system also urged them to be cautious about the distribution of temporary attribute points because it may cause mild physical discomfort if they increase their attributes too quickly, while Yilin chose to increase his spirituality. Yilin mentioned that it was a temporary ghost energy buff. He explained that beginners always add new points to combat-related attributes, power and agility, but they don't know that the increase in spirituality will lead to an increase in the gross energy points. Yilin stated that for apostles who rely heavily on skills, the key to passing the inner world is to use the skills consistently and as many times as they need them. On the other hand, the dust was being blown all over the palace at Shadow Village. Lai Changge and Wen Mani were both running away, and as Lai Changge, who was puffing, remarked that he finally got out of the ghost armies in the village, Wen Mani glared at him, and she was cursing in her mind as she muttered that she shouldn't have pinned any hopes on Lai Changge because she was trying to use him, but she didn't expect his skill to be so useless. Suddenly, they heard some pattering, so Lai Changge quickly grabbed his sword and warned that they should watch out, which surprised Wen Mani. It was Pan Zhengyi, and he was running so fast while he greeted them, calling them boy and girl. Lai Changge questioned Pan Zhengyi for greeting them, and he asked him where he had been when he should have helped them, but Pan Zhengyi just ran past him. Pan Zhengyi was being chased by raging, roaring ghosts, and when Lai Changge saw that, he cursed and nervously urged that they should run because the maniac just led a bunch of new ghosts there. Someone suddenly created multiple slashing movements. It was Nai Hongxiu, and as they caught Otamai, her daughter exclaimed that Otamai was horrible because she killed so many ghosts by herself. Otamai was alarmed as the girl was about to hit her with a bat and threatened that she would crush her to death, but Yilin suddenly interrupted and declared to let the world feel pain from that moment on. As Nai Hongxiu called Yilin her lord and recognized his presence, the girl was alarmed as she recognized those words while Otamai was confused. Nai Hongxiu was under the Jinx's enchantment, and she lunged at Yilin as she offered to serve him. Yilin asked Nai Hongxiu if she knew an old ghost hunter called Naizu, but Nai Hongxiu just wrapped her legs around him, asked him which role he wanted her to play at that time, and offered that he could do whatever he wanted with her. Yilin slashed Nai Hongxiu with his dagger and remarked that she didn't answer his question, while the girl screamed and called Nai Hongxiu her mom. Looking at Nai Hongxiu, who was slumped on the ground, Yilin was surprised that he didn't get the rewards and concluded that it meant something. Both Wen Mani and Lai Changge were amazed and exclaimed that what Yilin did was cruel, while Pan Zhengyi just greeted him, calling him a boy. But Nai Hongxiu suddenly started floating behind Yilin, and as Yilin asked them what they were waiting for, he urged that they should run because Nai Hongxiu is immune to the ghost-killing skill. Nai Hongxiu was enraged, and as she recalled that it happened the second time, she questioned Yilin about what he did to her, and as she called him a nasty ghost hunter, she vowed to tear him into pieces. On the other hand, Otamai stood up and was prepared to fight, and when she heard that Yilin advised that they should run, she insisted that, as a real fighter, she wouldn't flinch, but in her mind, she was cursing as she admitted admitted that she was seriously injured, so she could barely move her body, but he didn't want the others to know it. Otherwise, they would take that opportunity to attack her and rob her of her items. But to her surprise, Yilin carried her on his shoulder, and as he assured her that it was fine so she didn't have to move, he explained that his skill was unfit for a frontal attack, but Otamai's skill is so she could be useful. As they all ran, Lai Chang cursed and noted that Yilin was even running faster than them with a girl over his shoulder. A few moments later, they arrived at a house. Lai Chang recognized the place, and he asked if it was the wooden house of Naizu. He remarked that Yilin is so smart because they could let Naizu deal with those ghosts. But the house was empty when they entered, and Lai Chang cursed as he questioned where Naizu was. Yilin explained that Naizu taught them the basic ghost-killing skill, which could only deal with ordinary ghosts, and he asked Lai Chang if he still had hopes in Naizu to save them. Suddenly, Nai Hongxiu, her daughter, and the other ghosts were charging towards the house, and when Lai Chang saw that, he panicked and asked what they should do. Yilin calmly suggested that they should close the door. When they closed the door, Lai Chang cursed and complained that Yilin wanted to get them all killed because they were screwed as if they were like rats in a hole. Yilin assured them that they shouldn't worry because they will be okay, and as he asked Lai Chang if he forgot the plot summary in the beginning, he reminded him that it was dark and they should keep the door closed. He gently placed Otamai on the bed, and he noted that besides, each time the ghosts come, all the villagers just close their doors and hide inside their houses, so it means that ghosts are not able to come in when they close the door, and it was a way out for them so they could use that method when necessary. Otamai thanked Yilin, but he started to unfasten her belt. She was surprised, so she asked Yilin what he was doing, and Yilin explained that he was going to use the ghost oil to give her a massage. The ghost oil was a no-grade item, and the oil was formed by the liquefaction of ghost soldiers' fat, which could help them recover from physical damage slowly, but they were not allowed to bring it outside of that world, and Yilin explained that he obtained it by killing ghosts, so they should see whether it works or not. Yilin started to wipe the ghost oil onto Otamai's skin, but she stopped him and requested to wait. Otamai mentioned that it was cold so Yilin should just blow out the oil lamp. Yilin blew out the oil lamp like Otamai requested, and she instructed that he could go on. Meanwhile, underneath the red moon, Naizu was standing in front of two tombstones and reminisced that it has been 10 years since they have been imprisoned in that cursed lamp. But Nai Hongxiu and Xiao should just wait a little longer because those new ghost hunters are all young people and they have no idea what they will face. It was the tomb of Nai Hongxiu and Bai Xiao, and as he revealed his true form, Naizu predicted that those new ghost hunters would soon be their substitutes, and they would be free from there. The morning came. The sun shone on the 5 ghost hunters, who were all asleep and resting on the floor of the house. When Yilin opened his eyes, someone asked him if he was awake. It was Naizu, and as he remarked that they should get out, Yilin acknowledged that Naizu was back, and he cursed in his mind. A few moments later, the doors were shut with a loud bang. The 5 ghost hunters were kicked out, and as they stood out front, Lai Chang clicked his tongue and commented that Naizu is a grumpy old man, and he only taught them the basic ghost-killing skill, but hasn't held him accountable for that. Yilin asked Lai Chang if he had ever considered the reason why Naizu only taught them the basic ghost-killing skill. He suggested that maybe Naizu was trying to protect the 2 female ghosts they saw last night. Lai Chang suddenly interrupted Yilin and stated that in that case, Naizu is not on their side, but he still brought them to his house, which made Yilin ask Lai Chang if he hadn't noticed the attributes of the doors in the village. When Yilin touched the door, the system notified them that it couldn't be broken by the use of force, and he mentioned that only Naizu left his door open for them. Yilin was surprised when Otamai suddenly pulled him and sheepishly proposed that they should add each other as friends. He saw that the system had notified him that an apostle had sent him a friend request. Lai Chang remarked that Otamai is so thoughtful because after completing the starting missions, they had the communication function unlocked, and as he asked how they could forget it, he suggested that they should add each other as friends, while in his mind, he noted that one of them has the brain while the other has the strongest power, so he should follow them closely. But Lai Chang was startled when Otamai just looked at him condescendingly and clicked her tongue. When Lai Chang heard Otamai click her tongue, he complained that she changed her attitude too obviously, and that he was the best actor, but his handsome face was ignored, while Yilin replied that it was fine because he could just add him and he could be the intermediary. Suddenly, the village head's son arrived, called Lai Chang their hero, and praised him for being a brave man who didn't fail them, and he indeed drove all the ghosts away. Lai Chang was about to correct the village head's son, but he cursed in his mind and wondered where they were when he saw that Otamai and Yilin had disappeared from where they were standing. The village head's son gave Lai Chang a huge white orb and explained that it was a small token of their gratitude, which surprised Lai Chang. When Lai Chang touched it, the system informed him that it was an ordinary grade item that helps absorb some ghost energy after taking, but it may cause mild discomfort, and when Lai Chang saw that, he observed that the item could help increase the ghost energy points. Lai Chang immediately reverted back to his proud demeanor, and as he boasted that they should rest assured and just leave it to him because he will kill all the ghosts that night. When Manny was glaring at him, and she was thinking of the ghost energy pill. Meanwhile, a crow squawked and flew away from the village marker. Looking at his attributes panel, Yulin noted that he obtained some chaos points by killing ghosts the other night, but the ghost killing skill is of low quality and could only be used in the inner world according to its description, so he wondered what would happen if he put it into the Scourge module to upgrade it. The system informed Yulin that 10,000 chaos points are required for the upgrading of the ghost killing skill, but the skill is quite special, so the module could only be edited after he leaves that world, and Yulin was happy when he acknowledged that it was true that it could be upgraded, and that it could be brought out of that inner world. Yulin was surprised when he heard that someone behind him greeted him, saying that it was nice to see their friend again. It was Pan Zhengyi, and as he informed him that he had brought the sword that could kill the village marker that day, Yulin was speechless, and he wondered what the hell Pan Zhengyi was doing. But Yulin noticed dark shadows coming out of the village marker, and as he asked what that was, he remarked that thanks to the temporary attribute points, he has sharper observation ability after an increase in his spirituality. He approached Pan Zhengyi and suggested that he should let him do it at that time. Yulin stated that Pan Zhengyi was indeed a manic, but what they all ignored was that only he got the ghost-killing essence, so maybe he sees the world in a different way than them. Lai Chang suddenly arrived with Wen Manny. He called Yulin and noted that it turned out that he was there because he used the communication to text him, but he didn't reply. He observed that it was daytime and ghosts are weaker in the sunlight, so they should take that opportunity to carry out a killing spree and gather more ghost energy points, and Wen Manny commented that Lai Chang was smart and so cool. But Yulin didn't hear Lai Chang, and as he raised his dagger, he remarked that Pan Zhengyi cut cracks on that stone tablet last night, so it was his turn. And Pan Zhengyi cheered for him and encouraged him, saying that he should do it and that he was already his buddy because he fought side by side with him that day. Lai Chang was stupefied when he saw what was happening, and when Manny commented that it was another manic, so maybe they should go by themselves. The village marker was split in half, and some red items were blown away while the loud cracking sound filled the place. When Yulin picked up the item, the system congratulated him for finding a side quest, the conspiracy of the legendary ghost hunter, and Yulin got curious about the skill when the system informed him that he would get the ghost devouring skill after he found other parts of the blood jade and figured out the conspiracy of the legendary ghost hunter. Yulin turned to Pan Zhengyi and suggested that he should follow him because there's a place he wanted to show him, and as Pan Zhengyi asked where it was, Yulin replied that they would go climbing the mountain. He grinned as he explained that Naizu was not in the village last night, and he searched around Giwu Mountain so Naizu could only go to the top of the mountain, and since the blood jade is linked with Naizu's conspiracy, he should go to the top of the mountain to get the answer. In the foggy area, the ghosts roared as they were defeated by Yulin. As the system notified Yulin that he killed a level C ghost soldier, and he obtained 3 ghost energy points, 46 chaos points, and 1 ghost oil, he remarked that if his speculation was right, those level C ghost soldiers became more agile after just one night, so the longer time drags on, the more unfavorable the situation will become for them. Meanwhile, the ghost soldiers screamed and ran away from Pan Zhengyi as he commented that they were mischievous creatures, so they should go away and let him do it. Yulin stated that they had to go through that fog to reach the top of the mountain, and if they ran into the 2 female ghosts who were immune to ghost-killing skill, Pan Zhengyi could be of use with his ghost-killing essence. Looking at the ghost energy ranking, Yulin observed that it looked like they were all killing the ghosts in the fog, and even Lai Chang is bolstering his efforts. Yulin noted that something was wrong, but he was not sure about it at the moment. He called Pan Zhengyi and suggested that they should go, while Pan Zhengyi remarked that the ghost soldier had too many dental calculi. A few moments later, they arrived at the top of Giwu Mountain that was filled with hell flowers, to which the system notified them that it grows in places where yin and yang merge, and it takes 1,000 years to bloom and another 1,000 years for its flower to fall, but its flowers and leaves will never grow at the same time. When Yulin read the notification, he inquired if it was the source of the so-called curse. Suddenly, Yulin saw Mo Lai, who requested that he save her because she didn't want to die. He called Yulin, and he immediately recognized the voice. She asked Yulin if he forgot his promise and why he didn't show up to save her in the end when she had been waiting for him. Yulin explained that they were not real and that he didn't protect the 2 of them well in the past. but he was back, and that time he will try his best to keep them safe. He explained that ghosts were swarming in that inner world, so he knew there would be spiritual disturbances in that place, which is why he added all his temporary attribute points to spirituality, and since he has up to 8.8 points in spirituality, such illusion cannot affect his mind. Yilin saw the 2 tombs with formations in them, and he wondered if it was affecting him. He mentioned that he had high spirituality but remembered about Panjangyi. But Panjangyi was fine, and as he mentioned that the flower tastes awful, Yilin commented that Panjangyi was just a manic, so spiritual disturbances are nothing to him. Suddenly, Panjangyi called Naizu his friend and asked if he was there again. Naizu replied that it was impressive that Panjangyi spotted him when he hid his aura, and what was more surprising was that he could find that place. So it looked like he had to kill the 2 of them in advance. But Panjangyi was facing the tomb of Nai Hongxiu, and he declared that he wouldn't let him get away at that time. Naizu was puzzled while Yilin stated that he would leave it to Panjangyi, so he should let him deal with Naizu, and he mentioned that Panjangyi found out that the other parts of the blood jade were under those 2 burial mounds. Yilin recalled that the village head's son mentioned that 3 ghost hunters came there a long time ago, but 2 of them were killed by ghosts. So those 2 graves should be built for the 2 dead ghost hunters by Naizu. He theorized that they became ghosts after they died, and he asked Naizu if he was right that they were the 2 female ghosts they met. Naizu swung a blade at Yilin, who was using his skill, Shadow, using his feet, and he revealed that they were his daughter and granddaughter, who were excellent ghost hunters. He warned that no one there could get out of there because it was a cursed place. Naizu exclaimed that all of them will die, and Yilin admitted that Naizu deserves the title of a legendary ghost hunter indeed because he spotted him right after he used Shadow. Yilin questioned Naizu why he was still alive if all of them would die. Naizu challenged Yilin by asking how he could be sure that he was still alive. He began to transform, and he remarked that Yilin was a smart brat. But he didn't figure out one thing in the beginning, that Nai Hongxiu and Xiaoxiao weren't killed by ghosts. Naizu explained that 10 years ago, there were not so many ghosts in Giwu Mountain, and after they killed all the ghosts, they were infected by the ghost energy and turned into ghosts, and if he hadn't broken his arms in time, he would have become a ghost. He roared and declared that the only way to save Nai Hongxiu and Xiaoxiao was to find someone new and stronger as a substitute to bear the curse for them. Naizu charged towards Yilin and declared that he would let the world feel it. Yilin remarked that Naizu was so fast that he didn't have enough time to chant. He was surprised. The ground collapsed, and Naizu began to fall. Naizu cursed and exclaimed that it was despicable. The entire flower field was already filled with huge holes. Panjangyi was the one who dug the holes, and Yilin inquired why he dug so many. Panjangyi explained that they were gone, and it was just the residual smell, so he couldn't find them. Yilin noted that the tombs were empty and the other 2 parts of the blood jade were not in those caves, which was why Panjangyi dug so many holes. Naizu jumped out of the hole, and as he asked them if they wanted to dig the blood jade fragments out of the caves, he boasted that he used the blood of Nai Hongxiu and Xiaoxiao to make the 2 blood jade fragments. So they were the key to the formation and their lives. He added that he did 2 things last time. The first was to leave the door open for them to keep them alive, and the second was to transfer the blood jade fragments in those caves to another place, so he had everything under control. Panjangyi blocked Naizu's attack, and he insisted that he shouldn't hurt Yilin because he was his buddy. Naizu cut Panjangyi's arm off and sneered that he shouldn't worry because both of them would die. He laughed, and as he asked Panjangyi if he didn't want him to hurt Yilin, he taunted that he would, and Panjangyi should just bite him if he wasn't a coward. Panjangyi quickly showed his fangs when he heard what Naizu dared. He bit Naizu on the neck, and Naizu couldn't help but ask if he bit him. Naizu asked Panjangyi what was wrong with him and if he was manic and demanded that he let go of him. Yilin stated that Panjangyi was manic indeed, but he was walking on the right path, unlike Naizu. He insisted that Naizu shouldn't have gone so far. Naizu retorted that he only taught them the basic ghost-killing skill, which was only effective for those weak ghosts, while he was immune to it, and Yilin was still too young, so he had him wrapped around his finger. But the system suddenly congratulated Yilin for completing a side quest, the conspiracy of the legendary ghost hunter, while Naizu lamented for his blood jade fragments. The system notified Yilin that he unlocked the ghost-devouring skill, which he could only use in that inner world, but no consumption was required, and it could devour any level B ghost generals or under, so Yilin asked what Naizu's level was. The system replied that it was level A, and Yilin was speechless. Yilin and Panjangyi quickly ran away, and as Naizu asked them if they wanted to run away after they stole his blood jade fragments, he mocked that they were too naive. Ghosts quickly surrounded Yilin and Panjangyi. Naizu laughed and boasted that he surprised them, summoning the ghosts in that mountain, so they would pay for what they did to him. But Yulin immediately used his ghost-devouring skill, and he challenged Naizu, asking if he didn't think that he was waiting for him to summon those ghosts. Naizu recognized the ghost-devouring skill, and as he asked Yulin how he acquired such a forbidden skill that had been lost among ghost hunters, he stressed that even a talented ghost hunter could not acquire such a skill without 50 years of ascetic practice, so he asked Yulin how he did it. Meanwhile, Yulin could hear voices. One repeatedly cried that it was painful. Another begged that they didn't want to fall into the circle of the curse. Another was pleading for someone to save them. And Yulin wondered if those voices were from the aggrieved because their negative emotions were overwhelming. Yulin screamed in pain, and Naizu remarked that it was a pity, but he won in the end. Naizu explained that the top of Gyewu Mountain was the junction of yin and yang, and Yulin used the ghost-devouring skill there, which backfired, so his mental state was between the ghost and the human, and soon he would lose his sanity and be reduced to a ghost. But Yulin hit Naizu in the face and proclaimed that whether he was a half-human or a half-ghost, it was what he wanted. Naizu admitted that Yulin kept his sanity to a certain degree and maintained his state between the ghost and the human, so he was a real manic because only a manic could do such a thing. But Naizu shrugged off the situation because Yulin was just nothing to him, as he hadn't acquired the advanced ghost-killing skill yet, so it was impossible for Yulin to kill him. Yulin replied that he didn't need to do it himself. The ghosts roared as they all charged towards Naizu, and Naizu screamed in pain. Yulin concluded that he was right, that those inferior ghosts would obey orders from the strongest ghost, and he pointed out that since they were not intelligent creatures, there was no way they could tell if he was a ghost or not. The system notified everyone that Yulin had completed a hidden side quest, so in order to maintain the balance, the level C ghost soldiers would turn into level B ghost generals that night. Yulin stated that the difficulty went up and it was a common situation in the past where level C ghost soldiers were promoted to level B ghost generals, but he could still use the ghost devouring skill to devour them. He thought if the quest only became more challenging for his teammates, but he declared that it was impossible, so there was only one possibility. Yulin mentioned that stronger ghosts have much more ghost energy, so it was evidently tempting him to devour level B ghost generals to get ghost energy points quicker. Suddenly, Naizu howled. He asked Yulin how he did it and who the hell he was, and he insisted that he didn't believe it because he was almost there for Nai Hongxiu and Zia Xiao. Naizu cursed Yulin, and as he asked him if he thought he won, he proclaimed that all of them would die in Gyewu Mountain and no one could get away. Yulin retorted that it was none of Naizu's concern because the number of inner worlds he passed was way more than that of the ghost Naizu killed. He checked the ghost energy ranking and remarked that it had just been a while, but when Manny already rose to the top 1 in the ranking so he could finally be sure of it that Lai Chang's crazy fan is not as innocent as she appears to be. The system congratulated Yulin for having reached over 50% in his ghost energy points and unlocked the hidden form of the ghost slashing blade. The system informed Yulin that the ghost slashing blade had been upgraded to ghost exterminating sword, which gave an extra 0.1% increase in the ghost energy points obtained after killing a ghost. Yulin commented that it didn't seem to be very useful, but he could use it as there was a secret mission for their best actor. Meanwhile, on the periphery of Gyewu Mountain, Lai Chang was panting. Lai Chang cursed, and as he asked what that notification was about and what Yulin did, he complained that it was hard enough to deal with those ghost soldiers, so he didn't want to see ghost generals. He asked Wen Manny if she could still hold on. But when Manny was gone, and as Lai Chang asked where she was, he wondered if she didn't follow him there at the beginning. Suddenly, the system notified Lai Chang that Yulin had sent him a message, and as he asked why Yulin suddenly sent a message to him, he guessed that Yulin just wanted to brag about what he did in the hidden quest. But Lai Chang was surprised when he read Yulin's message. A few moments later, Lai Chang arrived at the village, and the villagers were lying on the ground. Lai Chang hoped that Yulin was not trying to screw him over. He was surprised when he saw Oda Maya wielding her sword while standing in the middle of the dead villagers. Suddenly, Wen Manny came out sobbing, and she cried that Lai Chang was finally back. Wen Manny confessed that she was too scared to come out, but she saw everything. That Oda Maya wanted the ghost energy pills of the villagers, but they didn't agree, so she killed all of them. Lai Chang assured Wen Manny that she shouldn't be scared because he would protect her, and Wen Manny hugged him. Zia Xiao suddenly appeared and giggled and mocked that the ghost hunters were more merciless than them, the ghosts, when killing each other. Nai Hongxiu also appeared, and when Lai Chang saw her, he announced that they were surrounded. Oda Mai quickly jumped off the ground, and as she lunged her sword towards Nai Hongxiu, she shouted that she would kill. Wen Manny suddenly swung her weapon at Oda Mai and yelled that she should go to hell as she was a murderer. As her weapon pierced Oda Mai, Wen Manny asserted that Oda Mai shouldn't blame her because she saw what she did to get the ghost energy pills, and she even tried to protect those villagers. It was Oda Mai who stood in her way. Oda Mai coughed up blood as Wen Manny pulled her blade back. While she was falling, Otamai cursed in her mind, and she muttered that it was a humiliation for a sword user to get an injury in the back, so she hoped that someone could guard her back. Suddenly, Yulin appeared, and as he asked Otamai if she didn't dodge it, he commented that she should have distributed her temporary attribute points in a fair way and added some to her agility instead of giving all of them to power. When Nai Hongsu saw Yulin, she snarled that it was him again and that she would make him pay as he insulted her last night, but Yulin teased that maybe he would do it again that night, so Nai Hongsu got pissed. On the other hand, Zayak Xiao greeted that it was nice to see her dear ghost hunter Yulin again, and that she was thrilled, so they should snuggle and he should let her eat him. Zayak Xiao charged towards Yulin with the other ghosts, and Otamai warned that Yulin should watch his back. But Yulin retorted that they should be the ones who should watch their backs because he brought some friends with him. Zayak Xiao hopped onto Yulin's shoulder and she was about to bite him. She was surprised when Pan Zhengyi suddenly bit her from behind and exclaimed that she was a female ghost. The ghosts that were being controlled by Yulin also came charging towards the other ghosts. The two sides of the ghosts began fighting with each other, and they all roared ferociously. Nai Hongsu asked Yulin why he could control ghosts when he was a ghost hunter, but she declared that he was not a ghost hunter at all and demanded how the hell he was. Yulin asked Nai Hongsu if he was not her lord. Nai Hongsu became enraged when he heard what Yulin mentioned, and she shouted that he was courting death. She controlled her hair and attacked Yulin with it. Yulin asked Lai Chang what he was waiting for, and as he insisted that he should just take that opportunity to kill ghosts and get more ghost points, Lai Chang inquired about getting more ghost energy points. So Yulin questioned him if he didn't get it and explained that only Nai Hongsu couldn't be killed by them before, so she was obviously the ghost king. Yulin revealed that when his ghost energy points reached over 50%, the ghost slashing blade transformed into the ghost exterminating sword, which meant that the upgraded sword could kill the ghost king. As Nai Hongsu wrapped her hair around Yulin, he admitted that, however, he had distributed all of his temporary attribute points to spirituality, so he didn't have enough power to kill the Ghost King. He reminded them that it was a team mission, and he was counting on them. Lai Chang's tried to reach out and call Yulin, but the ghosts blocked his way, so he cursed, and as he complained that those ghosts were out of control and they were coming for them, Wen Manny confessed that she was scared. Wen Manny disclosed that she had distributed her temporary attribute points to agility, and she currently had a ghost exterminating sword too. So the only thing she needed to do at the moment was to find someone to distract those ghosts so that she could concentrate on dealing with the Ghost King. Lai Chang called Wen Manny and boasted that he had been an actor all his life. He claimed that although it was the first time they had seen each other in the inner world, he had never seen such a cute fan as her in reality. Lai Chang announced that he was Wen Manny's idol. He charged towards the ghosts and proclaimed that he would protect her. Wen Manny called Lai Chang. She remarked that Lai Chang was an idiot, and as she wondered if he really claimed that she was his best fan, and he was the best actor. She remarked that he was naive, so he should just sacrifice himself for her because after all of them were dead, she could kill the Ghost King and get the highest evaluation. Nai Hongxi was puzzled when Wen Manny addressed her as Ghost King and remarked that it was her turn. Meanwhile, Yulin was inside a corrosive cocoon, and he observed that it looked like Nai Hongxiu hated him very much. Yulin commented that Nai Hongxiu didn't kill them directly but wrapped them with her silver hair and released the corrosive ghost poison, and he questioned if she wanted to torture him to vent her hatred. Otamai asked Yulin why he held her so tightly earlier when her sword had also been upgraded to the ghost exterminating sword, and she had added all the temporary attribute points to power so she could kill the Ghost King. But she was shocked when Yulin suddenly grabbed her. Yulin explained that Otamai was injured, and as he inquired if it was in the system notification that the ghost exterminating sword could kill the Ghost King, Otamai questioned if it was a lie and what he was currently doing, to which Yulin responded and reassured that he was protecting her from the corrosive ghost poison. Otamai asked Yulin what would happen to him. Yulin assured that Otamai shouldn't worry because he was immune to the ghost poison because he got a new form thanks to the old ghost hunter. Otamai revealed that it was Wen Manny who killed the villagers because she wanted to force them to give her the ghost energy pills, but they refused, and as Yulin questioned her why she didn't explain it to Lai Chang, Otamai dismissed that she didn't want to and it was not necessary. Yulin asked Otamai why she explained to him, and Otamai remained speechless. Suddenly, Yulin turned Otamai's body so she was facing away from him. Otamai questioned Yulin why he changed his position again, and Yulin joked that it was in case his face scared her. Wen Manny was still on top of the ghost energy ranking with 95.4% ghost energy points, followed by Otamai with 61%, Yulin with 52.1%, Lai Chang's with 25%, and Pan Zhengyi was last with 16.8%. Nai Hongxiu and Wen Manny were still fighting with each other. Wen Manny acknowledged that it was difficult to deal with the Ghost King, and she had increased her agility to 10. But it was still not easy to get close to her, and she didn't know why she couldn't add any temporary attribute points to agility after it got to 10. On the other hand, Lai Chang cursed, and as he questioned the ghost how it could hit his handsome face, he lamented that it was his everything. The ghost ganged up on Lai Chang, and as they stomped on him, Lai Chang complained that it hurt and questioned why they were aiming at his face. Meanwhile, Pan Zhengyi laughed maniacally while he beat up Ziyak Xiao, and he exclaimed that it was fun while Ziyak Xiao called for Nai Hongxiu's help, and while sobbing, she cried that the ghost hunter was a psychopath. Nai Hongxiu grew worried for Ziyak Xiao. When Manny saw that, and she exclaimed that it was a good chance, so her rope dart should go. Nai Hongxiu was surprised as she got entangled by Wen Manny's rope, and Wen Manny taunted her, asking what she was looking at. Wen Manny pierced Nai Hongxiu with her ghost exterminating sword, and she claimed that she would get the best evaluation after killing the Ghost King. But Nai Hongxiu managed to destroy Wen Manny's restraints, and she remarked that Wen Manny hurt her badly. The ghost energy ranking showed that Wen Manny already had 96.3% ghost energy points. Wen Manny was surprised when she got pushed back by Nai Hongxiu's attack. She questioned why Nai Hongxiu was still alive and if her upgraded sword wasn't supposed to kill the Ghost King. Nai Hongxiu demanded to know from Wen Manny who had informed her of that, and Yilin responded that it had been him. The ghost energy ranking indicated that Wen Manny already possessed 98.4% ghost energy points. Meanwhile, Wen Manny accused Yilin of daring to deceive her. Wen Manny cursed inwardly, and she considered that Nai Hongxiu's hatred was entirely directed at her, so she needed to devise a way to divert her attention. She remarked that Yilin was cunning, but she declared she had a plan B, allocating all her temporary attribute points to agility so she could escape if necessary. Oda Mai interjected, stating that Wen Manny ought to stop making those unpleasant remarks, as they were repulsive. Wen Manny clicked her tongue and retorted that Oda Mai was slower than her, so she would leave the Ghost King, who couldn't be killed, to her. Yilin summoned the complete Blood Jade and expressed gratitude to Wen Manny. The ghost energy ranking indicated that Wen Manny now had 99% ghost energy points. Yilin explained that the reason Wen Manny couldn't kill Nai Hongxiu was that her weak spot wasn't located on her body. Bai Ziyaxiao wept and expressed relief that they were finally free, leaving Pan Zhengyi bewildered. The system congratulated Yilin for saving the two cursed souls and earning Nai Hongxiu and Bai Ziyaxiao's favorability, thereby granting him 0.2 charisma points. Nai Hongxiu expressed her thanks to Yilin. Upon noticing the charisma points, Yilin inquired if they were real and what the utility of the favorability from two female ghosts was. Wen Manny remarked that it turned out Yilin knew how to kill the Ghost King, and she assumed that the stone tablet at the village entrance was where Nai Hongxiu's weak spot lay, which explained why Yilin and Pan Zhengyi had been there earlier. However, Yilin asked Wen Manny who had told her that Nai Hongxiu was the Ghost King, suggesting it had been him again. Wen Manny realized she hadn't received the mission completed notification and concluded Yilin had deceived her once more. The ghost energy ranking showed Wen Manny now had 99.5% ghost energy points. Wen Manny stated that Yilin was intelligent and she admired him, adding that he must know where the real Ghost King was. She proposed they collaborate to defeat the real Ghost King and achieve the highest evaluation together, offering to give Yilin anything he desired. Oda Mai remarked that Wen Manny was attempting to seduce Yilin, but he wouldn't fall for it. Yilin asked Wen Manny if she truly meant he could ask for anything, and Oda Mai declared she had been wrong about Yilin. Wen Manny reiterated that Yilin was correct and it could indeed be anything, while she assumed that all men were the same and decided she would kill Yilin after he revealed the Ghost King's location. Yilin began making his request to Wen Manny. He proposed that Wen Manny should become the Ghost King, prompting her to ask what he meant. Suddenly, the ghost energy ranking displayed that Wen Manny had reached 100% ghost energy points, and the moon began to turn red. Wen Manny demanded to know what was happening, why her body had become immobile, and what the red light was. Yilin questioned Wen Manny about the existence of an upper limit in the ghost energy ranking and explained that ghost killers ultimately transform into ghosts themselves, becoming the Ghost King when their ghost energy points hit the limit. Wen Manny insisted there was no way that was true because, even if Yilin were correct, she only had over 800 ghost energy points. She asked why she couldn't access the ghost energy ranking. Yilin clarified that the ghost energy ranking was available to apostles, but currently, Wen Manny was the Ghost King within that inner world. He elaborated that the plot summary they encountered upon entering the inner world mentioned that each had their own ghost-slashing blade and killed many fierce ghosts, bringing a dim light of peace to Gyu Mountain, implying that each ghost hunter's blade was tied to their ghost energy point increase. Wen Manny asked if what she was holding wasn't her blade and demanded to know when the switch occurred. She suddenly recalled and concluded that Lai Chang had replaced her blade, suspecting he had done it intentionally. A dark aura began creeping toward Wen Manny. Wen Manny called Lai Chang a scumbag. She transformed into the Ghost King. While Wen Manny screamed that Lai Chang was a scumbag, Lai Chang cursed and remarked that life is like a movie and Wen Manny was a good actress, but Yilin informed him of everything through the communication function. Lai Chang lamented that, alas, his poor handsome face and only he, the best actor, bore all the beating. On the other hand, Wen Manny screamed and repeatedly declared that she was an apostle and didn't want to be the Ghost King because she didn't want to be imprisoned there forever. Wen Manny threatened that she would kill Yilin. Lai Chang contacted Yilin and explained that a serious problem had suddenly struck him. He noted that the Ghost King had finally appeared, but they couldn't fight her, and as Yilin inquired if Lai Chang had forgotten it, he reminded him that they could obtain ghost energy points and temporary attribute points by killing ghosts. Lai Chang acknowledged it, realizing he could level up by killing those ghosts, and he cursed while exclaiming that the ghosts should come at him and let him show them what he was capable of. But suddenly, all the ghosts roared and committed suicide. Lai Chang was completely confused by what had just occurred. A dark aura was released from the ghosts. Yilin explained that it was too slow to kill them one by one, so he commanded them to commit suicide so he could directly absorb their ghost energy with the ghost devouring skill. Otamai cautioned and questioned Yilin if he intended to transform himself into a Ghost King too in order to have the power to match Wen Manny. Lai Chang praised Yilin as a great man and stated that he had sacrificed himself for them. Wen Manny laughed and ridiculed that Yilin was an idiot because he tricked her into being a Ghost King. But now he had to become another Ghost King to fight her. She challenged Yilin, asking if he could absorb more ghost energy than her. Multiple dark auras emerged all over Giwu Mountain, and the ghosts' groans echoed through the area. Wen Manny insisted that it was still not enough and demanded more so all of them would die. She declared that now that she couldn't leave that place, she would make them all stay. Lai Chang cursed and urged Yilin to be quicker, warning that otherwise, they would be doomed. Yilin inquired of Wen Manny, who told her that he was going to become the Ghost King, and clarified that he just needed some temporary attribute points for spirituality. Wen Manny expressed surprise when she observed the huge hole in the sky that was sucking in the trees. Yilin explained that there are limits to the three basic attributes, power, agility, and spirituality, and that those limits are also called locks, which define the limits of humans. He elaborated that only by breaking the locks could they push the limits and become extraordinary, while he recalled that he had broken the locks in his previous life, so what he needed were just enough attribute points, which should be easy to obtain. Yilin recalled that he barely felt the locks earlier, and he pushed the limit of spirituality at once and regained spiritual power. Wen Manny dismissed Yilin's claims, asserting that he never pushed the limits. She stated that since she couldn't do it, she didn't believe Yilin could either, and accused him of trying to fool her, cursing him to hell. Yilin hurled huge rocks at Wen Manny, but Wen Manny shattered them with her dark aura. Wen Manny mocked Yilin, asking if that was all he had and urging him to continue and show her what he could do. She taunted him to throw all his skills at her. But Wen Manny suddenly questioned what was wrong and why the ground was shaking so violently. The skull on Giwu Mountain rose up, and Yilin remarked that he had never heard of such a request before. Yilin commented that since Wen Manny asked for it, she should take that big one, and Wen Manny demanded that Yilin wait, asking what it was and who was the boss there. Wen Manny exclaimed that it was not something a human could do and accused Yilin of cheating. She cried that it was impossible and refused to believe it. Yilin declared that it was time. He stated that he should finish things once and for all. A huge explosion filled the area. A ghost mask infused with a dark aura screamed as it flew out of the explosion. The system congratulated Yilin for killing the Ghost King and awarded him 650 chaos points. It also notified them that the main task, Kill the Ghost King, was completed. Yilin pondered that it was only 650 chaos points for killing the Ghost King. He reflected that he knew it, that he only got temporary attribute points after all, and that it was easy to break the locks. But his current body couldn't handle so much energy consumption. Suddenly, the ghost mask flew toward Yilin while laughing. Yilin questioned what it was. As the system notified him that he obtained resentment, Lin questioned whether it was a piece of equipment and considered that it was the most special and rarest type. The equipment merged with Yilin's face when Otamai addressed Yilin. Otamai addressed Yilin again while he fell. Suddenly, the inner world dissolved, and the system notified them that it calculated the completion evaluation. The evaluation was SSS, and the system congratulated Yilin because, as a Stage 1 apostle, he had reached the 8th floor of the Tower of Death, and his current level was level 8. The system notified Yilin that he received a total attribute point of 1.5, an evaluation bonus of 50%, gained 1,500 death points, obtained the special item Ghost Oil, and learned the skill Fast Running. The system also notified Yilin that he completed the hidden side quest The Long-Cherished Wish of the legendary Ghost Hunter by saving Nai Hongxiu and Bai Xiao from their miserable fates, so he earned the red and white soul-attached card. Yilin explained that a soul-attached card could attach souls into weapons, and it's very rare. The system inquired if Yilin wanted to use the death points to repair his body, or not, and Yilin confirmed by clicking the yes button. The system notified Yilin that 450 death points were consumed, and it began repairing. The system announced that the repair was complete and Yilin would be sent back. Yilin returned to the real world. Molai immediately remarked that it was 1 minute. She remarked that Yilin disappeared for exactly 1 minute. Yilin inquired of Molai if he was correct that she should believe him, and Molai retorted that it didn't make sense and it only proved that Yilin really had some kind of supernatural power. Molai remarked that regarding what Yilin explained, she didn't trust any of his words, and Yilin supposed that indeed, it wasn't easy to gain Molai's trust. But Molai suddenly remarked that Yilin was indeed a good research object. Yilin cleared his throat, and as he questioned Molai about being a research object, he suggested that he was an invisible angel who had been protecting her, so it was time for her to repay him. He addressed her as Mingmeng, and Molai reminded him not to call her by that name. But Yilin persisted and requested Molai to use star steel to make a short knife for him. Molai inquired how Yilin knew about the star steel, and Yilin responded that if his memory served him right, Molai had a laboratory under her name, and she obtained some star steel for her research last year. He argued that she didn't need it, so she should use it to make a short knife for him. Molai questioned who Yilin was and wondered if he was really a time traveler. Yilin reiterated that, as he mentioned, he was the invisible angel who had been protecting Molai. Molai remarked that those were just nice words, and as she questioned Yilin why she should help him, Yilin advised her to think about it. He stated that he was the invisible angel who had been protecting her, which meant he could watch her secretly at any time. Yilin remarked that if Molai didn't agree, he would always pester her, watching her when she ate, slept, and even when she showered, and he questioned Molai if she didn't want that to happen. Molai remarked that Yilin was shameless. Yilin declared that they had made the deal, and Molai shouldn't worry because he would pay her at the market price. Suddenly, the door sizzled as someone tried to break it down. Yilin quickly shushed Molai and covered her mouth. Xiaoyi abruptly mentioned that his master remarked that his son, Xiao Yang, hated being alone, and he heard that Yilin was his best friend in school. Xiaoyi was one of the 16 bodyguards of the Xiao family, and he mentioned that his master sent him there to ask Yilin to go to another world to keep Xiao Yang company. He noticed Molai, and as he inquired if she was asleep, he remarked that she would be sleeping forever after she died. But Xiaoyi abruptly realized that Molai was a girl, and he considered that according to intelligence sources, it was a boy who lived there. Yilin abruptly struck Xiaoyi from behind with a knife, but he considered that the strike didn't feel right. Xiaoyi turned his head and remarked that Yilin was there. Yilin remarked that Xiaoyi was a cyborg, and as he pondered if there was already a cyborg in 2121 of the Tower era, he considered that research in that area was supposed to be prohibited at the moment. He used his skill, Shadow. Xiaoyi observed that Yilin disappeared and activated his heat-sensing mode. Yilin mentioned that Molai should stop pretending to be asleep because plan A of the sneak attack failed, so they should start with plan B. And as Molai inquired about plan B, Yilin suggested that they should run. Xiaoyi suddenly announced that he got Yilin, and his system notified him that the laser beam was ready. Molai cursed when she noticed Xiaoyi's laser beam, and as she exclaimed that there was no time to dodge, she questioned Yilin about what he had done to offend such a powerful enemy. Yilin used his skill, fast running, and Molai was astonished that they dodged the laser beam. Yilin revealed that he killed Xiao Yang and instructed Molai to hold on tight because he intended to speed up. Meanwhile, Xiaoyi questioned why and how a human could dodge his attack when he had been transformed into a cyborg. On the other hand, Molai observed that Yilin was fast, and she speculated about who Yilin was because what he just did was beyond the reach of humans. Yilin advised that Molai should run, and Molai attempted to protest. He asked Molai if she was concerned about him, and Molai responded by questioning why she would worry about him when he was just a stranger to her. Molai claimed that she didn't care about Yilin at all, but she wondered what was going on, as Yilin gave her an inexplicable sense of familiarity and closeness, even though they had just met. Yilin commented that it was good and that Molai shouldn't get hurt again because of him. Molai was about to ask Yilin if they knew each other, but Yilin declared that he would let the world feel pain from that moment on. The jinx of fear was applied to Molai, and Yilin instructed her to run and get out of there as fast as she could, advising her not to look back. Molai screamed as she ran away, and Yilin considered that it was good that he got the effect of fear that time, as it made Molai run faster. Xiaoyi acknowledged that it was a heroic deed and admitted he was touched. But he stated that he had already surpassed humans after mechanical transformation, so he deemed the love between them, weak people, ridiculous and concluded that neither of them could escape, as he would go out to kill Molai after he killed Yilin. Yilin questioned Xiaoyi about his intention to kill Molai, whether he believed he was powerful enough after mechanical transformation, and if he understood why Yilin stayed. He affirmed that he was going to kill Xiaoyi and declared that he would never let go of any potential dangers, so he would crush him. When Xiaoyi sensed Yilin's aura, he questioned whether he was scared by a human and speculated that it was impossible since he shouldn't have any feelings after the transformation. Yilin stated that he would upgrade Shadow, Ghost Killing Skill, and Jinx, and when Xiaoyi heard that, he speculated whether Yilin was a cyborg too and considered that Yilin might be more advanced than him and could upgrade automatically. The system notified Yilin that the Scourge module was activated and was creating the best upgrade plan for him. The system asked Yilin if he wanted to upgrade Shadow from 1 star to 5 star, requiring 15,000 chaos points, if he wanted to upgrade Ghost Killing Skill to Bloodthirsty Disaster, requiring 10,000 chaos points, if he wanted to upgrade Bloodthirsty Disaster from 1 star to 2 star, requiring 20,000 chaos points, and if he wanted to upgrade Jinx from 1 star to 3 star, requiring 6,000 chaos points. Yilin agreed to all of them. Yilin noted that he had almost used up all the chaos points he collected lately, but he was already fully prepared. Meanwhile, Xiaoyi observed that nothing happened and wondered if that was it. Xiaoyi commented that he thought Yilin would surprise him but was just laughing, and as he laughed, he remarked that he had been looking forward to it, but Yilin disappointed him. He criticized Yilin for wasting his time and threatened that after he killed him, he would torture Mo Lai crazily, but Yilin inquired whether Xiaoyi understood. Xiaoyi questioned how it could be possible for Yilin to hold his blade, and Yilin responded that he didn't make those preparations to deal with Xiaoyi because he didn't deserve it. Yilin asked Xiaoyi if he was correct that his body was wrapped in superalloy after the mechanical transformation, and stated that he wouldn't die unless his core chip was damaged, which gave him confidence. Xiaoyi asked Yilin how he knew that since it was a top secret. Yilin explained that using normal methods, he couldn't destroy the core chip with multiple protective layers inside his body, but he had made preparations. He asserted that, as he said, he would crush Xiaoyi, so he should get ready to be melted, and as he called Ava and instructed it to start the self-destruction process, Ava confirmed that the program was starting. Xiaoyi asked Yilin if he was crazy and exclaimed that Yilin would die with him, calling him a complete nut. Ava said goodbye to Yilin, and Yilin reciprocated the farewell. A huge explosion occurred. Yilin mentioned that he would enter the inner world. At Fengcheng City Mental Hospital, a nurse named 9527, who was Pan Zhengyi, informed him that it was time for bed and that he should return to his room. Pan Zhengyi replied that he tried to interact with the nurse as an ordinary person. He remarked that she distanced herself from him. The nurse assumed that Pan Zhengyi was not an ordinary person but a mentally troubled young man, and she reminded him that it was late and he should go to bed, warning that she wouldn't give him sweets otherwise. Pan Zhengyi declared that he would stop pretending and would reveal the truth, that he was undergoing tribulation, and as he introduced himself, he proclaimed that the inner world should come. He vanished abruptly, leaving the nurse astonished. The nurse exclaimed that Pan Zhengyi had disappeared, and when she called the guards and reported that a patient was undergoing tribulation, she corrected herself to state that a patient had escaped. Meanwhile, the system welcomed Yilin to the city where people were simple and honest and encouraged him to trust it. Suddenly, the system alerted Yilin about an unknown error, notified him of its correction attempt, and admitted that the correction had failed. Yilin opened his eyes upon hearing Mo Lai repeatedly calling his name. Mo Lai expressed excitement, noting that Yilin was finally awake. Ling Yi commented that Mo Lai was suffocating Yilin with her chest. Mo Lai apologized and admitted that she was too excited to see Yilin wake up. Ling Yi inquired of Dr. Jacob about Yilin's condition. Dr. Jacob concluded that it was concerning because Yilin suffered from serious delusion, imagining he had abilities beyond ordinary people and could enter a unique world. He suggested they discuss it outside. Yilin questioned who Yilin was but quickly realized it was him. He was Yilin. Yilin recognized Mo Lai and Ling Yi, and he speculated when Mo Lai became so plump. He winced in pain, and as he realized that his head hurt, he noticed he was tied down. Yilin pondered where he was, why he was there, and what he was supposed to do, realizing that he couldn't remember anything. He attempted to access the Apostle Panel, Storage Space, and Scourge module. Yilin asked aloud why it wasn't working. The others returned, and as Dr. Jacob advised that they should check on Yilin, Ling Yi expressed gratitude to Dr. Jacob. Dr. Jacob observed that Yilin's pupils were 3 millimeters in diameter, and sensitive to light, indicating that the tranquilizer had worn off, and he inquired if Yilin already felt better. Yilin responded that he didn't like being tied up. Mo Lai addressed Yilin and explained that Dr. Jacob had stated he was emotionally unstable and had a self-abuse tendency, so the restraint was for his own good. She assured him that she and Ling Yi would take him home when he recovered. Ling Yi noted that Yilin was emaciated and added that she and Mo Lai hated to do this to him, but they had no other choice, as he needed to stay there and receive treatment. Yilin asked Ling Yi if she could see him. Ling Yi retorted with confusion, asking what nonsense Yilin was talking about and whether he didn't want her to see him. She explained that Dr. Jacob had said Yilin needed rest, so she and Mo Lai would leave and visit him the next day. Yilin reflected that even if he forgot everything, he wouldn't forget Ling Yi, but sadly, the girl was not Ling Yi because Ling Yi suffered from optic atrophy and was completely blind. Dr. Jacob suddenly advised Yilin to relax, stating that it was part of the treatment for that day. Yilin insisted that Dr. Jacob release him because he wasn't sick, and Dr. Jacob reassured him that he understood. Dr. Jacob affirmed that Yilin was not sick, describing it as a simple and straightforward treatment after which he would see a different world. Yilin became alarmed by Dr. Jacob's words. A loud bang suddenly echoed, and as the lights went out, Dr. Jacob cursed and asked if the circuit breaker had tripped. The light went back up with a loud crackle. Dr. Jacob inquired where Yilin was. Yilin stated that Dr. Jacob shouldn't move. Dr. Jacob wondered how Yilin broke the handcuffs in an instant. He declared that Yilin should take it easy and trust him because he is his attending doctor, Jacob, and as he questioned Yilin if he didn't remember him, he commented that they had a good time, but Yilin retorted that he should shut up and answer his questions. Yilin queried Dr. Jacob where he was and why he was there, and Dr. Jacob remarked that he was in a hospital and he was receiving treatment, so he should relax as they could sit down and talk. He suggested showing Yilin his medical record to make Yilin believe him, to which Yilin acknowledged okay, but he shouldn't play tricks or he will die. A few moments later, Dr. Jacob and Yilin went to the attending doctor's office. Yilin considered that there were no cameras in that room. Dr. Jacob announced that Yilin should look because it was his medical record. Yilin looked at his medical record, which contains her profile, diagnosis, treatment status, and some notes. He was surprised when he saw the disturbance of self-consciousness and false memory in his diagnosis. Yilin wondered if everything, the end of the world, rebirth, the Tower era, trials in the inner world, and the apostles, was unreal. He recalled how the building they were living in was in ruins. Ling Yi probed Yilin what he wanted to do most if he could survive, and Yilin asserted that it was to marry someone and have a baby. She pressed Yilin with whom and noted that she has heard that Mo Lai is good looking, and she has heard the tone in which Mo Lai speaks to him. Yilin indicated that Mo Lai is okay, but she can't compete with Ling Yi, and when Ling Yi recovers her eyesight, she will officially introduce Mo Lai to her. Ling Yi answered okay. Back in the present, Yilin tightened his grip on the knife in his hand. Yilin refused to believe things, and he believed that he still remembered everything about Ling Yi, so it can't be unreal. Meanwhile, Dr. Jacob reflected that it was great that he had made Yilin calm down and that as soon as he pressed the button, security guards would come and that Yilin was too young. But without any warning, Yilin slashed Dr. Jacob's throat. Yilin voiced that he had warned Dr. Jacob and that he is a man of his word. The system on the computer notified Yilin that his main task 1 was to escape. When Yilin saw that, he observed that sure enough, he was in a trial. But he interrogated why the tower released the main task in that way and where he should escape from, if it was that hospital. But the computer exploded. Yilin posed if it exploded because it couldn't answer his question, and he wondered if the power of the tower was restricted in that space. The alarm system warned everyone and repeatedly reported that number 9527, Yilin, is in an abnormal state. Yilin mused that he had checked that room and there were no cameras, so he wondered why he was still identified and what abnormal state meant. He speculated that he couldn't use the apostle panel, and the power of the tower was limited while the perfect Mo Lai and Ling Yi could monitor him without any monitoring equipment. Yilin mentioned that he got it. A lady entered the room and informed that number 9527, Yilin, is in a very dangerous condition at the moment, so she requested that he accept the treatment immediately. But as she pulled out her gun, Yilin quickly slashed at her, slicing her neck and her gun. Yilin pronounced that he doesn't need any treatment. In the hallway, a group of security guards yelled that Yilin was there and they should catch him alive. The group of security guards quickly ran towards Yilin. Yilin pointed out that there was only one passage outside the doctor's office when he came there, but currently there are several passages, so sure enough, he can't escape from that hospital by normal methods. One of the security guards insisted that Yilin should stop resisting and that he shouldn't worry because they promised that they will cure him. Yilin conveyed that he wishes to see Mo Lai with a good figure and Ling Yi with good eyes again. Mo Lai and Ling Yi called him, and Mo Lai exclaimed that he was an asshole. Mo Lai demanded Yilin if he knew what he had done while Mo Lai uttered that they should go back and talk and that she believes the hospital won't blame him. Yilin maintained that he was right and that the place will do its best to meet his requirements to calm him down and make him believe that the world was real. But he affirmed that he would refuse. Mo Lai requested Yilin what he was doing, and as she admitted that there was something wrong with his memory, she revealed that what is in his mind at the moment are all false memories. As Mo Lai expressed that she and Ling Yi have taken Yilin to almost every corner of the world to cure him and they finally found that hospital, she wondered Yilin why he can't accept the treatment. On the other hand, Ling Yi told that Yilin did well. Yilin stressed that whether in reality or in memory, only Ling Yi could understand him. An oxygen mask was attached to Yilin's face. Yilin was floating in a liquid that contained bubbles. He woke up, and he wondered if he was in an experiment capsule. Yilin broke the glass, and the water came splashing out of the capsule. He was coughing on the floor, and he considered that he was finally awake. Yilin mused that he was in his dream earlier, but with Mo Lai with a good figure and Ling Yi with good eyes, it was easy to tell, and it was no wonder the tower could only release tasks in that way, and it couldn't even give him a complete description of the task. He takes off one of the patient uniforms. Yilin realized something, and he wondered why the scene felt familiar. He reflected that he remembered that he had been in that inner world in his previous life, and he is in Ant Nest, the secret lab of Reed Company. Yilin inquired if they were the other apostles who were on the same mission and remarked that it looked like their spirituality is lower than his and they are still in their dreams where their memories are suppressed so they won't wake up soon. He stated that they should let him help them because he remembered that it was a team task, so the more people, the better, but only under the condition that they could stay as human. Yinlin broke the glass of Lai Erping's capsule. He also broke Su Zaiasu's capsule. Yilin also did the same for Zhu Yun'er's capsule. The three of them were coughing while lying on the pool of water on the floor. Yilin mentioned that there was a last one, but he was surprised, and he wondered if the capsule could open automatically. Pan Zhengyi laughed and declared that he and Yilin haven't seen each other for many years, and he queried Yilin if he had made any progress. Yilin immediately recognized Pan Zhengyi's voice. Pan Zhengyi noted that he was lonely in that world. He questioned Yilin if he was there to undergo the tribulation too, and Yilin pondered that Pan Zhengyi was always talking and doing strange things like a lunatic, but he wondered why he was exuding the aura of the Chosen One. On the other hand, Su Zaiasu probed where they were and what was going on, and as Zhu Yun'er pressed the others if they were the apostles who were sent to that inner world. Lai Erping observed that it was weird and quizzed why the tower hasn't released any task. Yilin believed that the incomplete task had been released, but maybe they didn't notice it, so he revealed that their current task was to escape from there. Zhu Yun'er demanded Yilin if they thought that they were idiots, and she asserted that they didn't receive the task notification, and besides, the door is wide open, so she challenged if Yilin meant that they should walk out directly. Yilin announced that he didn't mean to escape from that room and that they needed to get to the ground because it was a secret underground lab of a biotechnology company. He reported that the blue liquid in those capsules is a diluted solution of virus C, and at first, it will only inhibit neural activities and make them fall asleep. But as time goes by, it will make them mutate so their initial identities in that inner world are guinea pigs for human experiments of that company. Lai Erping requested how they would mutate, and Yilin advised that it would make them completely lose their mind and become a monster that eats the flesh of living humans or other animals. Yilin acknowledged that they have to find the hidden antidotes before they get out of there, and they should let him give him a reindeer that the antidotes are green reagents. Su Zaiasu explained that it was scary, while Zhu Yun'er conveyed that they shouldn't trust Yilin because they just entered the whirl. And as she questioned how Yilin could know so much, Yilin uttered that they should open their apostle panel because there was a countdown. It was the countdown for them to become a monster. Zhu Yun'er and Su Zaiasu were surprised when they saw the countdown. Lai Erping commented that it was true, and he interrogated Yilin how he knew that. But Yilin didn't answer their question as he was wondering where Pan Zhengyi was. The alarm system warned everyone that a virus carrier had escaped, so security mode was activated. Pan Zhengyi pronounced that he was too good to have any opponents, and he felt so lonely. The others noticed that the doors began to close, which made Lai Erping curse, and he responded that Pan Zhengyi will get them killed. Yilin used his skill, fast running, and he declared that it was close and Pan Zhengyi almost got him killed. He believed that the others were not as lucky as him. Yilin reflected that it was whatever and that he had to get the antidote immediately. Su Zaiasu started banging on the door and it started to get deformed. Lai Erping cursed when Su Zaiasu broke the door, and he remarked that she was an awesome buddy. But Su Zaiasu stated that she is a girl, so Lai Erping shouldn't call her buddy. Lai Erping crashed on the wall, and Su Zaiasu inquired him if he was okay. On the other hand, Yilin pushed a door open. He lifted his skill, Shadow, and he suspected that it was there. The most concentrated antidote in the whole lab was stored there. Yilin noted that he didn't have any keys and he couldn't break that door by ordinary means. He summoned his ordinary emergency hammer. Yilin mentioned that he had that ordinary hammer and destroyed the door. He walked inside the vault and saw the antidote inside. The system notified Yilin that he had obtained experimental antidote 2, which has a purity of 65%. Yilin immediately injected the antidote in his arm. Meanwhile, Su Zaiasu asserted that Pan Zhengyi was a bad boy because he got them locked up in that room earlier, and he took away their antidotes, while Zhu Yun'er complained that Pan Zhengyi was a bastard and that he should stop. On the other hand, Yilin just got out of the room where he got his antidote. Pan Zhengyi threw a suitcase at Yilin and uttered that it had been a long time since they saw each other. Yilin quickly grabbed the suitcase, and the system notified him that he had obtained 5 experimental antidote I. The experimental antidote I has a purity of 40%. Su Zaiasu scoffed, and as she queried Yilin if he was on Pan Zhengyi's side, Yilin wondered how they got out. Zhu Yuner proclaimed that Yilin should give them the antidotes, otherwise she would attack. But before Zhu Yuner could finish her threat, Yilin announced that she should take them and that they don't have much time left, so they should inject themselves immediately, and Zhu Yuner considered that Yilin was helping them get the antidotes. Zhu Yuner clicked her tongue and commented that Yilin shouldn't think she will appreciate it because they found those antidotes first. But Su Zaiasu voiced that Yilin helped them take back those antidotes, so Zhu Yuner retorted that she should shut up. Meanwhile, Yilin stabbed Pan Zhengyi on the butt with the antidote, and Pan Zhengyi groaned in pain. Pan Zhengyi questioned Yilin if he did it for him and muttered that he should know that he is not gay. Lai Erping, who had just arrived, cursed, and as he claimed that he was still alive, he questioned them how they could leave him behind and demanded that they should give him an antidote. Yilin threw a vial at Lai Erping, and Lai Erping exclaimed that they were not ingrates. The alarm system gave a warning and informed that many virus carriers were gathering in the central corridor, so the clean mode was activated, which surprised Lai Erping. Yilin revealed that the AI program of Ant Nest was about to attack them. A fizzling laser beam started approaching them in the corridor. After they managed to dodge it, Su Zaiasu observed that it was close while Lai Erping cursed, and pointed out that laser rays are cool. Zhu Yuner just scoffed and added that it was easy. On the other hand, Pan Zhengyi bemoaned that it was boring and he was lonely. But more laser beams came fizzling towards them, and they were intricately layered with each other. Lai Erping probed how they could dodge that while Zhu Yuner wondered if it was serious and reckoned that she was wrong. Pan Zhengyi remarked that God commanded, "Let there be light," and there was light, and as Su Zaiasu inquired what Pan Zhengyi was doing, Zhu Yuner stated that he was nuts while Lai Erping commented that it was not the point because they were dying. But Pan Zhengyi declared that he didn't want light, so the light was gone. In an instant, the lasers started to disappear. Everyone was seriously puzzled, and Lai Erping queried if it seriously worked. Yilin questioned them what they were thinking about and mentioned that there was a switch at the end of the corridor, so he turned off the laser. Zhu Yuner wondered if that was all, and Yilin responded yes because the laser was not for people. Yilin observed that it was for those monsters, and they didn't know how to press the switch button. But he mused that at least at the moment. A few moments later, an elevator beeped and opened. Lai Erping interrogated Yilin if he had stated that it was a lab and why they haven't met any researchers. And as Su Zaiasu added that she was also confused, Yilin indicated that the researchers were all behind them. Su Zaiasu pressed if all the researchers were dead. Yilin affirmed that they were, for the time being, and as Zhu Yuner probed him what he meant and if they would come back to life, Yilin answered that they sort of would. There was a loud booming sound by the elevator doors, and Zhu Yuner inquired what was going on. Yilin cursed and explained that the AI of the lab was targeting them again, and the elevator was about to fall, so they must open the door and get out of there immediately, while in his mind, he reflected that something was wrong because there were 3 elevators there and he clearly remembered that in his previous life, it was the only one that wouldn't fall, so he wondered why such a change occurred. Su Zaiasu quickly advised that they should leave it to her. She grabbed and lifted up the elevator doors easily. Lai Erping pronounced that it was awesome and that Su Zaiasu was fast. But Yilin countered no, that it was too late. But Yilin was surprised when Pan Zhengyi pushed him. Pan Zhengyi proclaimed that even if millions of people stop him, he will advance bravely. Everyone yelled and called Pan Zhengyi with worry when they saw that the elevator came crashing down. Su Zaiasu asserted that they should save Pan Zhengyi, but Lai Erping maintained that they couldn't and it was too late. Zhu Yuner noted that she believed Pan Zhengyi was a lunatic who could only hinder them, but he saved all of them at the critical moment. Meanwhile, Yilin was thinking that the elevator fell, but the tower didn't send them the death notice. The system notified Pan Zhengyi that his friend Apostle 1010, Yilin, had sent a message to him. Yilin announced that Pan Zhengyi was dead, but they were still alive, so they should move on, which made Su Zaiasu and Lai Erping curse, and they voiced that Yilin was heartless. But Zhu Yuner expressed that Yilin was right. She conveyed that it was not the first time that they had entered the inner world, and death was not uncommon there, so they should stop being hypocritical, and she demanded which one they should take because there are 2 roads ahead. A lot of roaring zombies came rushing out of the doors on the right. While the roaring zombies poured out of the door, loud gunshots could be heard from the left door. Lai Erping cursed and articulated that those monsters Yilin mentioned are zombies, and as Yilin posed to Lai Erping if he knew about zombies, Lai Erping replied that he had seen a lot of movies, and his favorite one was the remake of a century-old movie, Resident Devil, which starred Lai Chang, the best actor. Lai Erping urged that they should go. He insisted that there are zombies on the right and gunshots on the left, so they have to choose the left because someone was coming to save them, and Su Zai Asu cautioned that Lai Erping should wait for him because he was fat but unbelievably fast. Zhu Yuner quizzed Yilin if he wouldn't follow Lai Erping and Su Zai Asu, and as Yilin opined that the gunshots were loud, he cross-examined Zhu Yuner which side she assumed the zombies were more likely to be attracted to and reasoned that besides, those people with guns were not there to save them. Yilin clarified that on the contrary, it was because of those people that the sleeping zombies that were controlled by AI were released. Zhu Yuner pressed Yilin why he didn't tell Lai Erping and Su Zai Asu, to which Yilin answered by asking her if he had time to explain when those two just ran so fast, and he recounted that Zhu Yuner articulated that death was not uncommon there, so they should stop being hypocritical. A monster was roaring ferociously and was about to attack Yilin from behind. Zhu Yuner hit the monster in the head with her sword, which made a loud clanging sound. She remarked that it was annoying. Yilin inquired Zhu Yuner which one she was referring to, the zombie or him, while he pondered that Zhu Yuner's moves were fast, and every time she used the ancient sword, it would make a strange sound, so she has mysteries. Zhu Yuner declared that Yilin should shut up and follow her and that she won't care if he gets lost. A few moments later, a telephone was ringing in one of the rooms while the zombies roared. Zhu Yuner surmised that Yilin's analysis was right that there are fewer zombies there. She realized and wondered where Yilin was and if he didn't come after her. Yilin queried Zhu Yuner if she was looking for him. Zhu Yuner reflected that she shouldn't have worried about Yilin, and she wondered how he entered the room before her. The person on the phone immediately uttered hello as soon as Yilin picked it up, and Yilin stated that he could hear him. The person apologized and mentioned that Yilin finally answered the phone, so he was too excited, and he questioned if they were the squad sent to the ant nest to take the original sample of virus C and how it went. But Yilin demanded that the person should cut the crap and tell him where he was and that he should hurry up because he doesn't have much time. When the person informed that he was in No. 98 Hartmoon Road and that Yilin should come there ASAP, the system congratulated Yilin for finding a hidden side quest, Rescue in Hartmoon Road, where he will be rewarded with 1,000 death points if he successfully escorts the rescue object to the safe area. Yilin considered that he finally took that side quest, but there is a big trap in it. Zhu Yuner was surprised when Yilin tackled her towards the floor. Yilin realized that the trap was that if he kept talking to the person on the phone, he would be attacked by a crawling zombie lurking nearby before he hung up. He remembered that when he came to answer the phone last time, 2 of his companions died there. Zhu Yuner snapped that Yilin should get off her. The 2 of them stood up and faced the zombie while it roared. Yilin advised that Zhu Yuner should go because he will deal with the zombie, but Zhu Yuner probed him if he was kidding her and added that she won't abandon him and run away. The zombie attacked and Yilin blocked its claws with his sword, which created a loud clanging sound. Yilin explained that Zhu Yuner shouldn't be silly because she runs too slowly, and he has the fast running skill, so he doesn't want to abandon her and run away, and it was for what she did for him earlier, so they are even. Zhu Yuner proposed that they could kill the zombie together, but Yilin cautioned that that type of zombie has a strong sense of group consciousness, so once one of them is killed, the others nearby will come. Yilin warned that Zhu Yuner will see a mercenary troop surrounded by zombies when she goes out, but she should leave them alone and get on the train and leave there. Zhu Yuner insisted that Yilin should take care and that he must come to her alive because she will wait for him. Yilin reasoned that it didn't feel good to be on the defense and dodge all the time. However, in his previous life, they were besieged by countless zombies and almost died because someone killed a crawling zombie. On the other hand, the gunshots of the mercenary troop echoed throughout the area outside. Su Zai Asu and Lai Erping were with the mercenary troop, and they were surrounded by zombies. A member of the troop called their boss and reported that all the people in that lab became zombies, so it seems that they couldn't get to the lowest floor to take the sample. To which the boss cursed and shouted that he could see what was going on and they should find a way to break out and get on the train. But another member responded that only they were left and they were surrounded by so many zombies, so there was no way they could break out. Lai Erping cursed and pronounced that the mercenaries suck because he had told them that they should shoot their heads. Otherwise, they won't die, while Su Zai Asu was busy flicking the zombies away as she screamed and yelled that they shouldn't get close to her, and that she was scared. Zhu Yuner ran past behind the group of zombies. She remembered what Yilin noted about how she should leave the mercenary troop alone and get on the train. But as Zhu Yuner reached the entrance of the train, she stopped. She apologized and whispered that she can't do it. Zhu Yuner jumped off the ground and charged towards the group of zombies behind her. She feared that if she took the train and left at that moment, Yilin couldn't evacuate when he came there, so she had to try her best to unite those survivors and stay there to wait for Yilin to catch up. On the other hand, blood was dripping down the crawling zombie's hand. It laughed sinisterly at Yilin. The crawling zombie attacked, but it was stunned when it realized that it attacked another zombie. The crawling zombie quickly looked around, and it was confused. Yilin wondered why the crawling zombie hurt the other zombie when they were all monsters, and as he deemed that it was time to go because Pan Zhengyi should be ready, he used his skill, Shadow. The crawling zombie was stunned when it noticed that Yilin's presence disappeared. On the other hand, Su Zaiasu thanked Zhu Yuner for saving them, and as she vocalized that they would have died there, Lai Erping rejoined that it was hard to break out of the encirclement, so they should just run and not dawdle. But Zhu Yuner professed that they should wait, and they have to stay there because Yilin hasn't come yet. The boss of the mercenary troop cursed at Zhu Yuner and insisted that she should get out of his way because they will die if they stay there, and that Zhu Yuner could kill herself if she likes, but she shouldn't take him with her. Zhu Yuner speculated that it hurt and that she sprained her ankle so she could no longer move. She believed that the boss was a bastard. The boss demanded one of his men what he was waiting for, and as he teased that he should start the train immediately, the man assured yes. Lai Erping contended that they should wait because Zhu Yuner hasn't gotten on the train yet, and she helped them, so they can't leave her alone. The boss ventured that Lai Erping was kind that he should get off the train and save Zhu Yuner because he won't stop him. Lai Erping fell silent, so the boss cursed and maintained that the fatty shouldn't talk nonsense if he doesn't have the guts. Meanwhile, Su Zaiasu was calling out to Zhu Yuner and suggested that she should hurry up. Zhu Yuner reasoned no and that it was too late, so she couldn't. She was in tears as she apologized to Yilin in her mind. Blood spurted out of the zombie's head as Yilin jabbed his sword into it. Yilin pressed Zhu Yuner if she was waiting for him. Zhu Yuner was glad when she saw Yilin. He clarified that he told Zhu Yuner that she runs too slowly and that she should go ahead, but he implied that he should just forget it. And they should go, so he will take Zhu Yuner with him, which made Zhu Yuner think that Yilin saved her in the end, and that he was a gentleman. Zhu Yuner was extremely puzzled when Yilin carried her in his arms like a sack. On the other hand, the doors of the train started to close. Su Zaiasu stopped it and announced that Zhu Yuner should hurry up. Yilin quickly got on the train with Zhu Yuner in his arms while the zombies chased behind them. The train traveled at an extreme speed, and it left all the zombies behind. Yilin summarized that it was close and that, fortunately, he had fast running while Zhu Yuner revealed that it was embarrassing, so Yilin should put her down. Zhu Yuner thanked Yilin as he gently sat her down. She quizzed Yilin what he was doing when he grabbed her leg. Zhu Yuner wondered if it was some fetishism of Yilin's, and she thought that she should just forget it because Yilin saved her 2 times, so she could bear it. Yilin spelled out that he would apply special ghost oil to Zhu Yuner's foot. Zhu Yuner was amazed and described that it was a bit cold. She repeated that it was enough because her ankle doesn't hurt that much anymore. Zhu Yuner broadcast that Yilin should stop because it was itchy, while in her mind, she was wondering why Yilin was skilled. The roof of the train started screeching as the crawling zombie sliced through it with its claws. Yilin wondered if the crawling zombie jumped onto that train. The boss cursed, and as he muttered what the crawling zombie was, he stated that his men should fire, and they responded yes. Zhu Yuner advised that the boss should wait a minute and that he shouldn't shoot because killing the crawling zombie will attract more of that type of zombie. But the boss pointed his gun at Zhu Yuner's head. He muttered what he should do and if he should cut her and throw her out to lure the crawling zombie away, and he stated that she was stupid because actions are more important. The boss was taken aback when Yilin slashed his throat. Yilin remarked that the boss was right that actions are more important, so he made a move. One of the men of the mercenary troop called their boss while the other interrogated Yilin for killing their boss in front of them and declared that he will kill Yilin. The man inquired if he was already scared and if he believed he could outrun their bullets. But Yilin just scoffed and smiled at them. The other man realized and noted that Yilin was not dodging. But the men realized too late as the crawling zombies' long tongue quickly pierced through their bodies. Lai Erping declared that they are doomed and they have no way to go, while Su Zaiasu remarked that the crawling zombie shouldn't come over because she was scared. Zhu Yuner observed that it looked like they had no choice and they could only kill the crawling zombie first even if they would be chased by other members of that type of zombie. But Yilin countered that there was no need for that. He explained that the items and equipment are divided into 6 grades from low to high, rough, ordinary, limited, rare, epic, and legendary, but those within the grade of none are special items, and they are not included in the grades. Yilin asked if that ancient sword of hers should be an epic weapon that could cut off almost everything, and Zhu Yuner wondered what Yilin was doing. Zhu Yuner responded yes, and she asked what he was going to do. But before she could finish her sentence, Yilin grabbed her and rotated her body like she was doing a cartwheel. Yilin asserted that he will make the crawling zombie get off that train. In an instant, the train broke in half. The crawling zombie roared as it got left in the other cart, but it extended its tongue, and Lai Erping shouted that they should watch out. Yilin quickly used his spiritual power. He created a barrier that blocked the crawling zombie's attack. The carts continued to separate, and they left the crawling zombie behind. Yilin considered that the temporary attribute points he got from the instance in Gyewu Mountain had disappeared, but he had broken the lock and mastered the spiritual power anyway. And although he didn't have the high spirituality he had before, and he couldn't use that kind of power at the moment, he could use a low-end version of spiritual power. Lai Erping demanded what he did and stated that it was like an invisible wall that blocked the crawling zombie's long tongue, which was cool, and he inquired if he could teach him that. On the other hand, Zhu Yuner felt that Yilin is always so calm and powerful, and she wondered who he was exactly. A few moments later, Lai Erping asked if the train stopped, and as he mentioned that it looked like they could escape soon, Su Zaiasu voiced that they should get out of there because that place was too scary. Zhu Yuner inquired if the task would be completed if they got out of there, and Yilin confirmed yes, but it was just the first task, and they may not be able to go out at the moment. She queried what he meant. Su Zaiasu and Lai Erping were alarmed when they saw the soldiers blocking their way. The soldiers warned that they shouldn't move and that they should put their hands up, or they will shoot them. Lai Erping explained that they should wait a minute because Yilin is holding the girl who got her ankle sprained in his arms, so he can't put his hands up, and he requested that they don't shoot him. One of the soldiers ordered that they should hurry up and catch those guinea pigs and take them back, while the others should come with him because they will go downstairs to get the original virus sample. Zhu Yuner inquired what they were doing, and Yilin mentioned that they were their guinea pigs, so they needed to catch them to continue their crazy experiments, to which Zhu Yuner lamented that they were doomed. One of the soldiers exclaimed that they should wait and asked what the sound was. At that moment, Yilin retorted no and that the soldiers were the ones who were doomed. The soldiers could hear loud roaring noises from downstairs. They exclaimed that a man was rushing towards them. One of the soldiers shouted that Pan Zhengyi should stop and put his hands up, or they will shoot them. But Pan Zhengyi just sang that he was roaring with great strength, so he didn't need to look back, and he declared that the soldiers should come on and that they should see who dares to say that zombies can't be the kings of the world. The soldiers screamed in pain as the zombies chomped on them. Pan Zhengyi ran towards Yilin and stated that it was what he told him to get. He uttered goodbye and that his babies should come at him. The system notified that he had obtained the original sample of Virus C. Zhu Yuner declared if Pan Zhengyi could command zombies, and Yilin noted that Pan Zhengyi just lured the zombies out. While Lai Erping remarked that Pan Zhengyi was awesome because he was still alive and he saved them again, the system notified that the main task escape from the underground lab of the ant nest was completed, so they got a random reward in the evaluation. Lai Erping mentioned if they had completed the task and if it meant that there was another task, and he cursed when the system notified that the main task 2, hunting time, where they should try their best to fill up the killing list in Binhai City, and anyone who goes beyond the area will be directly killed. The system notified that the killing list was activated and it was a group task, so when the total points reach 100%, all the living apostles in Binhai City will complete the task and the individual assessment will be settled according to their ranking on the killing list. The system notified that brilliant hunters often appear as prey, and it requested that they enjoy the killing. Yilin observed that Zhu Yuner should wait for him there, and Zhu Yuner responded what he was going to do and if they shouldn't run away at that moment. Yilin commented why they shouldn't take that opportunity to kill the soldiers and insisted that they tried to use them as guinea pigs, so he won't let them go because he will kill anyone who threatens him. He reasoned that besides, he could collect killing points. The system notified that he had killed a mercenary in a chemical protective suit and an ordinary zombie multiple times, and he got 60 killing points and 6 chaos points in total. Yilin was surprised that he could get chaos points by killing people. The system notified that he had gained 1010 killing points by killing mercenaries in chemical protective suits and ordinary zombies. The killing list was updated as well, and it was at 0.101% completion. A few moments later, Yilin wiped out both the mercenaries and the zombies. Lai Erping added that Yilin was a formidable guy, and while Su Zaiasu expressed that it was unbelievable, Zhu Yuner claimed that sure enough, one could get killing points by killing people or zombies, but she indicated if they could finish the task when Yilin had killed so many people but only got so few killing points. Meanwhile, Yilin assumed that the difficulty of that instance had been increased by the tower because the killing points he gained from killing at that time were less than a tenth of what he gained when he took that instance in his previous life, so he had to find a way, and he recounted where Pan Zhengyi was. Everyone was confused, so Yilin suspected that he should just forget it, and he better finish the side quest first. On the other hand, the system notified that Yilin sent him a message. At that time, he laughed maniacally while he approached the ladies' restroom. Pan Zhengyi kicked the sign of no admittance by the door and proceeded to enter the restroom. The system notified that he will be punished by justice and his charisma will decrease by 2 because he shamelessly entered a ladies' restroom on purpose, but Pan Zhengyi just laughed and voiced that he is justice. Pan Zhengyi was startled when a roaring zombie appeared in front of him. The building was filled with roars. Meanwhile, Yilin and the others ran away from a horde of zombies. Su Zaiasu pointed out that she didn't expect that Lai Erping could run so fast, and Lai Erping cursed as he conveyed that that was not the point because there are zombies everywhere on the ground, and he explained if the city had been occupied by them. Yilin spelled out that they could get the side quest ahead. They arrived at Double Flower Kindergarten, No. 98 Heartmoon Road, and Yilin recognized that the rescue object of the side quest is in a kindergarten. Su Zaiasu quickly closed the kindergarten gates on the zombies, and she repeated that it was close and he figured he would be killed. On the other hand, Ju Yuner ventured that Yilin could already put her down because her foot feels much better. Yilin contended that everyone should keep alert because the place was too quiet, and he believed that he didn't take that side quest last time, so everything was unknown there. A few moments later, Lai Erping exclaimed that there should be people since the lights are on, and he replied why there was no one. Lai Erping stressed that he heard a sound from the classroom, so the rescue object of the side quest Yilin mentioned must be inside. But he was surprised that his eyes bulged out when a child zombie showed up at the window of the door and roared. Lai Erping cursed as he fell on the floor while trying to step away from the window. More zombies showed up on the window, and they all roared. Jacob stated that Yilin and his group were late and demanded what took them so long. He was a researcher for Reed Company, and he remarked if they knew how important he was to the company. But Jacob realized who Yilin and his group were. He quickly mentioned that they should stay there for a while because he would go get his stuff and they would go to the safe zone together. Ju Yuner declared if Jacob was the guy they needed to save on that side quest, and while she noted that he was mad at them 1 minute ago but quickly changed, Yilin pondered that there was something wrong, as Jacob looked exactly like the Dr. Jacob in his dream, and he didn't believe it was just a coincidence set by the tower. A zombie kept calling her dad, and that caught Yilin's attention. Ju Yuner commented where he was going and added that their rescue target told them to wait for him. Yilin ignored Ju Yuner and he believed that the voice was coming from that room. He opened the door and was surprised by what he saw inside. A little girl who had turned into a zombie was restrained on a chair and she kept calling her dad. Jacob stated that he told Yilin to wait for him outside and demanded why he didn't listen. He stated that they were self-righteous assholes. He remarked if Yilin thought that they could fool him, and as he added that they were not mercenaries of Reed Company, Yilin just responded what it mattered. Jacob noted if he was right that he didn't see that coming and stated that it was him who put them into those capsules in the ant nest, and laughed menacingly. Eli considered that he didn't think Jacob needed to explain it to him because Jacob could see it from their clothes. But what really surprised him was that the side quest required them to save a man who took them as his guinea pigs, and he wondered what kind of a messed up quest the tower gave them. Jacob commented that he has done experiments on countless adults in the ant nest, but they all failed, as all his experiment subjects turned into zombies with no consciousness, and they can't understand orders, and such experiments are meaningless because he wanted soldiers that could perfectly carry out missions. He declared that he decided to use children as his experiment subjects, but those experiments failed one after another until the last one, his daughter, as she remained partly conscious after the injection of virus C, and she kept shouting, "Dad." Jacob stated that Yilin should feel honored because he could see his masterpiece before he dies, and he should be his daughter's dessert. He remarked that he was bitten by her once, and it really hurt. He unlocked the restraints on his daughter. Jacob's daughter roared and charged forward. Yilin quickly used his skill, Shadow. Jacob closed the door and noted that it was time to get rid of the rest of Yilin's group. He explained that he hates trouble, but he will have to go to the safe zone by himself later, and he has to give up that excellent experiment subject he made. But the good thing is that he has prepared a few shots of experimental antidote in advance, so they should be enough to help him get to the destination, and everything will be fine as long as he can get the more effective experimental antidote too. But Yilin appeared and declared that Jacob shouldn't bother and he should just stay. Jacob wondered when Yilin got out. He insisted that Yilin should wait and that he shouldn't kill him because he could tell him where the safe zone is, and Yilin responded that he should go ahead. Jacob revealed that at Jadehorse Park, large troops of Reed Company are stationed there, and they will get a helicopter to leave. Yilin immediately slashed Jacob's throat as soon as he got the information. He remarked that he didn't say that he would spare Jacob's life. The system notified that he had obtained 10 experimental antidote I. Meanwhile, Lai Erping noted that Jacob has been gone for so long, and as he muttered why Jacob hasn't come back yet, Su Zaiasu remarked if everything was okay with Jacob and Yilin. On the other hand, Ju Yuner believed that Yilin had been gone for a while too. Yilin came back. Lai Erping inquired where Jacob was, and Yilin declared that Jacob was dead. Lai Erping was surprised, and Yilin nonchalantly stated that he killed Jacob. Lai Erping muttered if he was a devil and noted that they were there to save Jacob, but he killed him, while Su Zaiasu confessed that she was scared and she didn't want to stand alongside Yilin. A few moments later, more zombies gathered at the gates of the kindergarten and were banging on it fiercely. Su Zaiasu pointed out that the zombies wanted to get in while they wanted to get out, and the question of how they should leave comes into play. One of the zombies managed to open the gate. Su Zaiasu cursed and remarked that they learned how to push open the gate. Pan Zhengyi relentlessly fired a Gatling gun at the zombies. The zombies were too sluggish to avoid the bullets, and they all took a hit. Pan Zhengyi stated that the zombies should stop right there as he was going to kill them all, and he laughed and added that he is justice. Lai Erping was impressed by the Gatling gun, and he remarked that Pan Zhengyi is awesome. Yilin wondered if Pan Zhengyi picked the Gatling gun up in a ladies' restroom. Zhu Yuner declared where they should go, and Yilin informed that they would go to Jade Horse Park. Yilin voiced that Reed Company set up a safe zone there and left a large number of people to cover the evacuation, and Zhu Yuner observed that it was good because they could finally manage to escape from that place. But Yilin wondered why they should escape. He commented that everyone should change into the clothes for combat, and they should also inject themselves with the antidote he just obtained, and when Su Zaiasu heard that, she inquired if they weren't going to the safe zone. On the other hand, the Jade Horse Park was relatively quiet. A lady mentioned that all the soldiers should hurry up because those boxes were their company's precious properties, so they must take all of them out. She queried if he was already in touch with the squad sent to the ant nest, and the soldier responded no. He revealed that he can't reach them all. The lady stated that they were a bunch of useless idiots. Another soldier called the lady and indicated that another group of survivors had arrived. When Yilin heard the soldier say that they were another group, he wondered if the Reed Company, the creator of that disaster, actually takes in ordinary survivors, and he figured that there was something fishy about it. The lady uttered that she felt sorry for what happened in Binhai City and that they must have suffered a lot on their way there. But they shouldn't worry because they are already safe, and they should come with her as she will take them somewhere to have a rest. Lai Erping noted that he had a question for Yilin. He insisted that they were out of danger indeed, but he asked how they were going to complete the task, and Zhu Yuner acknowledged that it was a good question. Yilin predicted that they will know soon. A few moments later, after they followed the lady, Lai Erping was startled when he noticed the huge amount of corpses below them. Zhu Yuner inquired why she brought them there. The lady replied that of course it was for rest. She proclaimed that they should just rest in peace there, and all the survivors in the city are there because their mission was not to take in the lowly people but to make sure that they will all die there. And she apologized and maintained that they can't let them tell others about what happened in that city before they came up with a solution. The lady warned that they shall die, but Yilin retorted that they shall die twice. The lady explained that it was the original sample of virus C, which is super infectious, and as she demanded why he had it, she had a realization and supposed if it could be that the squad they sent to the ant nest was killed by them. Yilin outlined that at first, they did experiments on them, and currently, they wanted to kill them, so it won't be too much if he kills them twice because it was hard to complete the task on the killing list. And if they don't use other methods, they might die from exhaustion before they get enough killing points. He clarified that the easiest and fastest method of gaining killing points is to turn humans into zombies with the virus, and all the living humans in the city were there. Lai Erping cursed and wondered if Yilin was actually a villain because normally, no one would think of such a method, and he asserted that it was no wonder Yilin said to inject themselves with the antidote twice, but he pressed how Yilin could be sure that turning humans into zombies is considered killing. Yilin assumed that it was because he completed the task in that inner world in his previous life, but he didn't say it. Meanwhile, Zhu Yuner considered that Yilin conceived of such a way of killing to gain points and that he was elegant. Yilin let go of the vial that contained the original sample of virus C. The lady and the soldiers were all in shock as they watched the vial drop to the ground. She lamented that Yilin was such a madman, and he was much crueler than them. The vial broke, and the content was immediately spilled. Yilin affirmed that it was not his fault but the world's, and the system notified that the skill, Bloodthirsty Disaster, was activated. The soldiers started groaning in pain as the mist of the virus spread in the area. In an instant, they got infected and started roaring. The killing list was immediately updated, and they were at 88% completion. Lai Erping spoke that turning humans into zombies is really considered killing. But even so, they didn't get enough killing points, and they still need to gain so many. Yilin cautioned that they shouldn't panic because he restated that he would kill them twice. He began slashing the soldiers that had turned into zombies. Yilin was alarmed when he saw what happened to the lady. The lady's veins were popping as she stepped out of the mist. She became the Mad Duchess, a predator, and she laughed as she thanked Yilin so much and expressed that it turned out that she was the perfect virus aptamer they were looking for and she wouldn't know it if Yilin hadn't released the virus to get her infected with it, so she should give him a thank you gift. The Mad Duchess ordered that Yilin should come closer and she will strip off his skin layer by layer, and make him have great fun. The Mad Duchess was surprised when Zhu Yuner swiftly moved in front of Yilin and blocked her claws with her sword. Zhu Yuner queried what he waited for, and Yilin answered that he waited for her, which puzzled her. Yilin recalled how he met Zhu Yuner. He mused that he recognized Zhu Yuner immediately when he first saw that special sword of hers, and that was why he made friends with her. Yilin contemplated that the Zhu family was the one that established the last dynasty in the Dragon Kingdom, and Zhu Yuner was a descendant of that emperor of the Zhu family. He surmised that in the future, Zhu Yuner would turn traitor and submit herself to the Scourges, and she would become their lackey, but unlike Xiao Yang, she would not come in direct touch with him. Yilin speculated that for a potential villain like Zhu Yuner, it was worth more to make her pledge her allegiance to him than just to kill her. Meanwhile, the Mad Duchess was amazed and observed that the beauty saved the hero, so she bet she would feel even better to skin a young girl like Zhu Yuner. Zhu Yuner challenged if she presumed she was capable of doing that. She plunged her sword on the ground. Zhu Yuner used her skill, soul-attached weapon, King's Sword. The Mad Duchess was alarmed when she saw how huge the soul of Zhu Yuner's weapon was. She cursed as she growled what it was. The King's Sword sliced the ground, and it created a loud, booming sound. Lai Erping mentioned that it was cool and that it was his dream weapon, while Su Zaiasu noted that Zhu Yuner was sassy. The soldier zombies came charging at Lai Erping and Su Zaiasu. Lai Erping confidently clicked his tongue, and as he responded that it was just a bunch of zombies, he added if they could see the Gatling gun in Pan Zhengyi's hands and spoke that they should come on. But Pan Zhengyi threw the Gatling gun on the ground. Lai Erping cursed, and he demanded why he threw away his gun. Pan Zhengyi attacked the zombies by mimicking their actions and biting them. Lai Erping voiced that it was wild enough, so Pan Zhengyi should let him take over that gun for him. He admitted that he has always wanted to use a Gatling gun, and he couldn't get one in the real world, but he finally got a chance, so he thanked Pan Zhengyi for leaving that gun to him. But the Gatling gun was just dry firing as there were no bullets left. Lai Erping realized that it had run out of bullets and cursed Pan Zhengyi. Meanwhile, Yilin believed that for every creature he kills, Bloodthirsty Disaster will enable him to absorb 20% of the total amount of their power, agility, and spirituality to condense into one layer of killing intent. Yilin understood that he would get some disposable temporary attribute points after he used the skill to consume all the killing intent he accumulated. And turning people into zombies also counted as killing creatures, so the light balls over the heads of those zombies are all attribute points he could absorb. The system notified that the Bloodthirsty Disaster skill duration has 120 seconds left, and he realized that he could only get 5 layers of killing intent, which meant that he had to find 5 people with the highest attribute points, and unfortunately, the female officer was perfectly adapted to Virus C, so she doesn't count as a creature he killed. On the other hand, the Mad Duchess was enraged at Zhu Yuner. She observed that it looked like she needed to be serious too. The Mad Duchess indicated that she likes doing things violently, so Zhu Yuner needs to bear it, and Zhu Yuner was surprised that the Mad Duchess could grow tentacles out of her body. The Mad Duchess swiftly used her tentacles to grab the sword of the Sword Spirit. She laughed menacingly. Zhu Yuner figured that it was unbelievable, and she wondered if the Mad Duchess was just a zombie because even the sword spirit of the King's Sword lost to her. The Mad Duchess demanded what the matter was, where her momentum was, and why she hid under that thing. She suggested that Zhu Yuner should come out and have fun with her and let her do some crazy things to her. The Mad Duchess insisted that Zhu Yuner was a little girl and that she liked that big thing she summoned as it tastes good. She mentioned that she swallowed every bit of it, but she wanted more. Zhu Yuner was surprised that the Mad Duchess broke her sword spirit and absorbed it. The Mad Duchess transformed, and she turned into a glutton, Queen of Thorns. She directed her tentacle at Zhu Yuner. Su Zaiasu warned that Zhu Yuner should run and shouldn't just stand there. She tried to block the tentacle, but she was sent flying. Meanwhile, Lai Erping used his skill, Burn My Fat, and blew the zombies around him away. He cursed, and as he moaned that he was forced to be thinner, he lamented how much he had to eat to get his weight back. Su Zaiasu called Lai Erping from below. Lai Erping wondered why she was under there, and Su Zaiasu weakly replied that he should watch out over his head. Lai Erping was surprised when he saw the tentacle. He quickly used his skill, Go My Fat, to defend against the tentacle. Lai Erping laughed and exclaimed that he liked that. Yilin assumed that it was almost done, and he had absorbed the 4 light balls with the highest attribute points and condensed 4 layers of killing intent. With 88 seconds left on the duration of the Bloodthirsty Disaster, Yilin reflected that they were just ordinary people and he only got a few attribute points from them, so he had to wait for Pan Zhengyi. On the other hand, Zhu Yuner inquired if she was okay. Yilin chimed in and remarked that they can't go on like that because if they take turns hitting the Mad Duchess, she will defeat them one by one, so they should leave the ordinary zombies alone and kill the Mad Duchess together. Su Zaiasu tried to protest, but she was cut off. Zhu Yuner acknowledged that Yilin was right, so there is no time for hesitation, and as Su Zaiasu declared that they should count her in, Lai Erping urged that they should do it immediately while he still has some fat left. Meanwhile, Yilin used his skill, Shadow. The Mad Duchess laughed and mocked that they really wanted to die and they shouldn't hurry because she would take the initiative. But it was also okay and they could come to her together as she was hungry. Su Zaiasu complained that it was gross, and she couldn't get rid of the Mad Duchess tentacles while Lai Erping cursed, and as she stated that the Mad Duchess trapped them, he wondered what they should do. But Lai Erping cursed and wondered where Yilin was when he noticed that he was gone. The Mad Duchess laughed and stated that she couldn't decide which part of Lai Erping she should eat first. She wondered which part of him she should take the first bite from and remarked that it is really a hard choice to make. Yilin suddenly advised that the Mad Duchess should always go for the head. The Mad Duchess tentacles loosened after Yilin successfully decapitated the Mad Duchess. Su Zaiasu declared that they were saved. Zhu Yuner expressed that Yilin attacked the Mad Duchess alone to save them, so she was so touched, but Lai Erping doubted if she was serious and insisted that Yilin use them as cannon fodder to distract the monster. Suddenly, one of the Mad Duchess tentacles started to wriggle towards an ordinary zombie. The ordinary zombie groaned in pain as the tentacle pierced its torso and started absorbing its essence. Slowly, the head of the Mad Duchess started to grow back. Lai Erping was startled when he heard the Mad Duchess laugh. The Mad Duchess cursed Yilin, and as she scolded him for daring to cut off her head, she exclaimed that Yilin really pissed her off, so he should go to hell. Lai Erping exclaimed that the Mad Duchess actually made her head grow back by eating other zombies, but he realized and wondered why the Mad Duchess was glaring at him when it was Yilin who cut her head off. Yilin suddenly remarked that Lai Erping is a good man, which made Lai Erping curse, and he insisted that Yilin was hiding behind him. While using his skill, Shadow, Yilin apologized to Lai Erping. He explained that because of Lai Erping's skill, he is the best one among them to bear the Mad Duchess attacks, so Lai Erping is a good person, and all he did was buy time and wait for Pan Zhengyi. The Mad Duchess cursed at Lai Erping and declared that he should go to hell. Lai Erping used his skill, Go, my fat, and he screamed as he cursed Yilin. Su Zaiasu wondered how he became so thin. Lai Erping complained that he can't hold on any longer. He explained that if he doesn't use his skill, he will die, but if he continues, he will be drained, so he pleaded for help. On the other hand, Yilin's shadow skill was lifted. Yilin called Pan Zhengyi and inquired if he was done. Pan Zhengyi effortlessly sent the zombies surrounding him flying as he welcomed Yilin with open arms as his buddy. Su Zaiasu questioned if Pan Zhengyi was still alive, and as Zhu Yuna remarked that she didn't think so, she wondered why there were so many syringes on Pan Zhengyi's body. Pan Zhengyi's body was injected with multiple antidotes, and he was only half infected. Yilin stated that Pan Zhengyi got the 5th layer of killing intent and realized that Pan Zhengyi was awesome as he could give him 20 attribute points. He concluded that he could only condense 5 layers of killing intent and other monsters in that inner world are too weak, so even if he uses bloodthirsty disaster to kill them, he won't get many temporary attribute points. But if he could kill the boss, he wouldn't need to condense the killing intent, which is why he did such a thing. He reasoned that the tower didn't give them a death notice after the elevator fell, so he knew Pan Zhengyi didn't die. Yilin recalled that he used communication to tell Pan Zhengyi where he could find the original sample of Virus C and a large number of semi-finished antidotes in the ant nest. He considered that the plan could offer them another choice, and if things got out of control, Pan Zhengyi could get himself infected. And with so many half-finished antidotes, he could turn himself into a kind of half-zombie, and he would provide him with the real valuable layer of killing intent. Yilin reasoned that he used the original sample of Virus C to get those mercenaries infected so Pan Zhengyi, who was bitten by them, could be counted as a man killed by him. Su Zaiasu wondered if he was a devil and stated that he made Pan Zhengyi become a monster so that he could obtain the necessary power. Yilin pointed out that Su Zaiasu admitted it herself that he did that to get the necessary power, and he wondered what else he could do and if he should wait to be killed with them. Su Zaiasu was enraged, but Zhu Yuner stopped her and argued that it was not Yilin's fault because Pan Zhengyi intentionally rushed to those zombies and let them bite him. Zhu Yuner emphasized that Yilin even took special care of Pan Zhengyi and injected him with 2 antidotes. Otherwise, Yilin could just have let Pan Zhengyi become a zombie before he came there, and he wouldn't have had to give Pan Zhengyi the 2 shots. She concluded that Yilin seemed to have foreseen everything and had been trying his best to save them. Zhu Yuner reminded that Su Zaiasu should check the killing list. She remarked that they contributed nothing to the killing list so far, so they have no right to blame Yilin. Meanwhile, Lai Erping cursed, and he shouted that the Mad Duchess should stop it because he is almost dried up. Yilin praised that Lai Erping did well, and he would take things from there. Lai Erping exclaimed that Yilin finally noticed him and that he was saved. The Mad Duchess laughed and declared that Yilin finally showed up, so she challenged him to come and fight her. Yilin agreed while the duration of his bloodthirsty disaster skill only had 3.14 seconds left. Yulin released the killing intent, and the system notified that his spirituality increased to 10 because, according to his will, all the temporary attribute points were added to spirituality. He realized that sure enough, the temporary attribute points he got there were much less than what he got in Gilwu Mountain because even he couldn't break the first layer of the lock with those temporary attribute points. But it was enough. The Mad Duchess laughed as she mocked if he was kidding her and remarked that she assumed Yulin was going to make a big fuss. She ridiculed if that was all he got, what the small card was for, and if he wanted to play cards for the last time before he died, adding that it was so funny. Yulin replied that it would be funnier, and he concluded that it was his turn, so he activated the soul-attached card. The Mad Duchess challenged Yulin to come on and show her what he could do because she was looking forward to it. She taunted that he should let her see how capable he is and that he shouldn't be a sissy idiot. The system notified that the Soul of Soul-attached card Nai Hongxiu was successfully activated, and Yulin acknowledged that it was not for the Mad Duchess, but he just wanted to get enough spirituality to bear the side effect of using a soul-attached card on himself. The Mad Duchess was surprised when Nai Hongxiu's hair pierced her body. At the same time, the system warned Yulin that there was an unexpected way of soul attaching due to the wrong usage. So he has suffered immense mental damage while the soul of the soul-attached card is about to go berserk with 0.1 seconds left of the bloodthirsty disaster skill duration. And Yulin determined that it was just the right time, and he has barely withstood the side effect. Zhu Yuner wondered if he was crazy and remarked that people usually use soul-attached cards on weapons, not on themselves, to which Yulin clarified that ordinary weapons can't withstand the side effect and an ordinary soul of the card can't defeat the Mad Duchess. Zhu Yuner wondered if Yulin was talking about her sword spirit and admitted that indeed, her sword spirit did not defeat the Mad Duchess but was devoured by her. So Yulin intentionally made the soul of his soul-attached card go berserk to deal with the Mad Duchess. On the other hand, Lai Erping cursed as he lamented that he never got any soul-attached card, but he had heard of it before, and the soul of a soul-attached card is essentially a ghost. So he doubted if a normal person would let themselves be possessed by a ghost and concluded that Yulin is not only a ruthless man but also a devil who will do anything to win, so he should never offend him. Back at the fight, the Mad Duchess grabbed Nai Hongxiu's hair and sneered if they assumed that it was the end. Su Zaiasu cursed and pointed out that the Mad Duchess was eating other zombies to heal her wounds again. The Mad Duchess cursed at Nai Hongxiu, and as she rebuked her for daring to pierce her body with her hair, she mocked how she felt at the moment. Meanwhile, Zhu Yuner remarked that Nai Hongxiu was completely suppressed and the Mad Duchess was incredible because even the soul of a soul-attached card in the berserk state can't defeat her. Yulin suddenly requested Zhu Yuner should help him up. Zhu Yuner replied that Yulin can't fight at the moment, so he shouldn't act tough, but Yulin explained that he won't fight, and he just wanted to help Nai Hongxiu unlock her potential. Yulin used the soul of the soul-attached card Bai Zai Xiao, and as he called Nai Hongxiu, he told her she should look at Bai Zai Xiao and questioned if she didn't want her to be harmed. When Zhu Yuner saw that there was another soul, she acknowledged that soul-attached cards were quite hard to get and the one Yulin owns contains 2 souls. Nai Hongxiu let out a roar when she saw Bai Zai Xiao. Yulin urged that Nai Hongxiu should hurry if she wanted to save Bai Zai Xiao. Both Bai Zai Xiao and the Mad Duchess were puzzled when Yulin threw Bai Zai Xiao in the Mad Duchess' hand. The Mad Duchess demanded why she was looking at her and protested that it had nothing to do with her, but Nai Hongxiu was just roaring in rage. Seeing that Nai Hongxiu pierced her torso again, the Mad Duchess sneered if Nai Hongxiu was an idiot and mocked that it didn't work on her. The Mad Duchess declared that no matter how many times Nai Hongxiu hurt her, she could eat another zombie to recover herself, and as long as she could do that, she was immortal, and as she mocked if Nai Hongxiu cared about the little girl, she threatened that she would crush Bai Zai Xiao immediately. Yulin congratulated the Mad Duchess and noted that she had completely infuriated Nai Hongxiu. He speculated which one is larger in number, her tentacles or Nai Hongxiu's hair. He asserted that the Mad Duchess could eat as many zombies as she wanted, but as long as Nai Hongxiu hurts her faster than she recovers, she won't win. The Mad Duchess denied it, claiming it was impossible, and wondered how that could be. The system notified that she had killed the Mad Duchess and had obtained 200,000 killing points for it, and the killing list had reached more than 100%, so the main task 2 was completed. Yulin realized that he didn't kill the Mad Duchess last time, so he didn't know he could get so many killing points, and as he wondered if it was more than 100%. He regretted that he already made a plan to get more killing points and it was already useless, so he made a mistake. Lai Erping grumbled if he could stop showing off, while Su Zaiasu admitted that she suddenly felt like she was an idiot. On the other hand, Zhu Yuner looked so concerned as she called Yulin, and as Su Zaiasu remarked that Zhu Yuner didn't look so happy and wondered what the matter was. Lai Erping reassured that they had completed the task and they were just waiting for the tower to send them back up, so Zhu Yuner should cheer up. But Zhu Yuner reminded if they had forgotten that Nai Hongxiu and Bai Zai Xiao were still there. Nai Hongxiu and Bai Zai Xiao charged at Yulin, and Yulin commanded that they should stop. Yilin repeated stop again as he showed the card to them. Bai Xiao and Nai Hongshu were both surprised and puzzled by what Yilin did. Yilin urged stop again, and the card started absorbing Nai Hongshu and Bai Xiao. The system notified that he had taken back the two souls, red and white. Amazed, Lai Erping wondered what Yilin did if he handled those two ghosts like that, and what that skill was, while Zhu Yuna remarked that she never knew that the soul of a soul-attached card could be taken back. Meanwhile, the system notified that he mistakenly used red and white, which caused the two souls in the card to be in a violent state, so the soul-attached card can't be used again. And if he wants to use the card again, he must enter the world in the card to calm the two souls. Yilin explained that the reason why Zhu Yuna didn't know was probably because she hadn't turned the card over where it was written that one could take back the soul by shouting stop 3 times, which has 3 uses. Surprised, Zhu Yuna commented that she had always assumed that the soul-attached card could only be used once. Yilin considered that Zhu Yuna, who will betray the Zhu family in the future and will be one of the 8 shadows under the command of the Scourges, with her as the clue, maybe he could find more future human traitors. On the other hand, Zhu Yuna was wondering why Yilin was staring at her like that. Zhu Yuna inquired where he lives in reality and if she could go to see him after they go back. Yilin simply replied that his house exploded, and while Zhu Yuna was perplexed, the system suddenly notified that it was calculating completion evaluation. The evaluation was SSS, and as the system congratulated Yilin for racing the 12th floor of the Tower of Death as a Stage 1 apostle, it also notified that his current level was 12 and he unlocked both the forum and the trade. The system notified that his total attribute points increased by 1.5, and upon analyzing his performance in the trial, his luck decreased by 0.3 and charisma increased by 0. He also got a difficulty bonus of 40% and an evaluation bonus of 50%, so he got a death point reward settlement of 1,900. And he also obtained the item Advanced Antidote and the special state cards Bullet Deflection and Dynamic Vision up. The system also notified that because he had not injected any other antidote except for the experimental antidote 2 in that inner world, he had successfully adapted to Virus C, and he had obtained the bloodthirsty factor. It notified that his spirituality was slightly damaged and inquired if he wanted to use death points to repair his body. Yilin complained when he saw that his charisma increased by 0, and as he grumbled that he didn't get any charisma points, he questioned if the tower considers that it was a blessing for him. He speculated if it was because he changed Zhu Yuna. The system notified that 10 death points were consumed, and it began repairing. After a moment, the system notified that it was done and he would be sent back. Back in reality, smoke was still rising from Yilin's apartment, and it was still up in flames. Yilin returned to reality. He was amazed, and he remarked that Xiaoyi only had 1 electronic eye left at that time when the system notified that his chaos points increased by 40. Yilin was surprised when he saw the notification regarding chaos points. He immediately realized that he had returned to the real world, so those chaos points could only be obtained by killing Xiaoyi. Yilin concluded that it was to say that he doesn't need to enter the inner world because wherever he is, he could get chaos points when he kills someone. Meanwhile, Mo Lai was mourning for Yilin, and as she felt that her heart hurt, she questioned if she was sad about Yilin's death and why she was feeling that way when she just met him. Mo Lai considered that they were strangers, and as she pondered why the idiot Yilin sacrificed himself to protect her, she yelled and declared that Yilin is an idiot. But Yilin suddenly remarked that it was midnight and wondered if she wanted to disturb others. Mo Lai inquired if he was fine, and Yilin responded that he wasn't really. She immediately wondered if he got hurt, but Yilin replied no. He admitted that he had killed a guy before, and he didn't expect that they would send someone to him soon, so now he needed Mo Lai to do something. Mo Lai replied that Yilin should never make fun of a girl who is worried about him. Yilin wondered if she was worried about him. Mo Lai replied that Yilin heard it wrong. She realized that Yilin mentioned that he killed someone before, and she questioned why he did that. Yilin replied that if he hadn't done that, someone else would have been killed, and he concluded that since he had killed Xiao Yang, Mo Lai should be fine. Quickly picking up, Mo Lai wondered if Yilin meant her. Yilin inquired how she knew, and as Mo Lai remarked that he looked very sad earlier, she wondered if Yilin cared about her so much. Mo Lai questioned what their relationship is in the future, which rendered Yilin speechless for a moment, and he suggested that they should get out of there first. She probed if he wouldn't deal with the aftermath, and as she mentioned that the Joint Investigation Department will come to Yilin soon if they leave like that. Yilin explained that when Ava exploded, it controlled the impact area so the neighbors nearby are all safe, and he rescued them from the fire. Yilin reassured that as for the Joint Investigation Department, Mo Lai shouldn't worry because the Xiao family will deal with it. He explained that after all, the Xiao family sent the killer there, so they will try their best to hide what happened, and he assumes they will compensate the residents and handle the Joint Investigation Department. When Mo Lai heard about the Zhao family, she inquired if it was the one that owns Hingyang Medical Device Company in Qingcheng City and if he had killed someone from the Zhao family. Yilin clarified that, to be exact, he killed the only son of Zhao Mo, the head of the Zhao family. When Mo Lai heard that Yilin killed Zhao Mo's son and his subordinate and he wanted to let him deal with the aftermath, she asked if he was a devil while reflecting that she was worried about Yilin earlier when he is a true villain and she misjudged him, but they are in the same boat at the moment. Without responding to Mo Lai's inquiry, Yilin prompted what she was waiting for and suggested that they should go get a room. A few moments later, Yilin and Mo Lai checked into the Lichai Hotel. Mo Lai wondered what he wanted. Yilin stated that he wants Mo Lai while realizing that as a genius, Mo Lai has a strong desire to learn and a strong sense of curiosity, so to her. He is an extremely rare research object, and he knows her too well, so she will satisfy all his requirements to get a chance to study him. Mo Lai stuttered as she warned that Yilin shouldn't come over, or else she will be angry. She screamed when she fell onto the bed. Yilin declared that he wanted Mo Lai to do 3 things for him. He explained that the first one would be, as they have agreed before, for Mo Lai to make a dagger out of star steel for him, and the second would be for Mo Lai to find out where Zhao Mo is. Mo Lai was surprised when she heard Yilin's demands. Yilin continued that the third was for Mo Lai to find a person named Pan Zhengyi, and he would be a patient in a mental hospital, so she should try to erase his records there and get him out. Mo Lai verified if that was all, and Yilin countered what else she was looking forward to. She snapped that Yilin should go to hell. Mo Lai realized that Yilin dodged again and he was becoming more and more agile, so she speculated if he participated in the ancient martial arts dragon pace. But she dismissed the idea because Yilin is even faster. She noted that she could understand the first 2 things, but for the third one, she asked why he was looking for a psycho. But Yilin insisted that she should just do it because with her ability, he believes she could get it done easily and he will pay her no matter how much she charges. Yilin agreed and added that Mo Lai can already go back. Mo Lai protested that Yilin should stop giving her orders, and as she challenged who he thought she was, Yilin warned that it was too late and if Mo Lai didn't leave immediately, he would take it as an invitation. Mo Lai retorted that Yilin is a shameless asshole. Meanwhile, Yilin contemplated that when he cleared the instance and left the inner world, the tower dispelled the weak state he got from using bloodthirsty disaster, so it was time to get prepared for attaching souls to weapons. He entered the world in the card. Yilin got absorbed by the card and was brought into an empty space. He was transported into the world inside the card. Yilin reasoned that the reason why the soul went berserk was that it developed the inner demon, so when its inner demon is removed, the soul will be calm. He considered that even if he used the soul-attached card on a weapon, it may still turn against him. Therefore, if he could remove the soul's inner demon, he could establish a deeper bond with it and eliminate the risk of being devoured by it. Yilin discovered where Nai Hongxiu was. Nai Hongxiu was talking to a Mr. Bai, and she recounted that when she and her father just came to that place, there were many ghosts in the mountain, and she had the responsibility of killing ghosts so she could marry Mr. Bai because not only did he understand her but also offered to let Bai Xiaoxiao be their adopted daughter, so they were already a family. She mentioned that since she had killed all the ghosts in the mountain, she could finally marry Mr. Bai. Nai Hongxiu suddenly realized and wondered where Bai Xiaoxiao was. Mr. Bai suddenly interjected that it was their big day, and when he proposed that Nai Hongxiu go pick some lotus seeds by the lake and make some preserves for Bai Xiaoxiao, Nai Hongxiu agreed. But Nai Hongxiu teased that Mr. Bai won't have a share unless he goes with her. Suddenly, Mr. Bai grabbed Nai Hongxiu by the shoulder. He questioned whether she was looking for Bai Xiaoxiao, and he revealed that Bai Xiaoxiao is at the bottom of the lake, so Nai Hongxiu should go see her. Mr. Bai pushed Nai Hongxiu towards the lake, and she was caught off guard that she was unable to react. Nai Hongxiu created a huge splash in the lake as she fell into it. Mr. Bai scolded that he told Nai Hongxiu not to kill all the ghosts in the mountain, but she didn't listen to him, and she even claimed that it was her mission as a ghost hunter. He questioned whether Nai Hongxiu realized that those ghosts were their food and explained that they had always been eating ghosts and ghosts eat them too. He continued that the lake was full of evil kai that could produce new ghosts, so Nai Hongxiu and Bai Xiaoxiao could be their new food source. He continued that he only has to deal with the old bastard Nai Zhu next, but he has to think of another way. So he will hide the true cause of Nai Hongxiu's death from Nai Zhu first and find a way to turn him into a ghost so they will have a ghost family. Yilin slashed Mr. Bai. He remarked that if he wanted to give Nai Hongxiu a ghost family, he should join them. Conquest inquired of Yilin whether he wasn't there to remove Nai Hongxiu's inner demon and why he killed a phantom in her inner demon world. He quickly turned to the direction where the voice came from. He recognized Conquest and mentioned that he assumed he killed her. She retorted that he was there for revenge. She recalled that he killed her in that position and that it was already her turn. However, he questioned her whether it was fun to play dumb with him and if she was Scourge module, to which she wondered how he knew and when he found out. He explained that it was when she called him host because only the Scourge module he obtained after he killed Conquest was with him. But he didn't expect that she could turn into a human, to which she scoffed and grumbled that it was boring. She intended to frighten him with the appearance of her former host. He instructed her to get up because he has something important to deal with. She probed what he meant by something important and teased that he was a bad boy. She wondered if he wasn't going to remove Nai Hongsu's inner demon and reminded him that the lake is full of evil Kai. So if she didn't get her out at that moment, she would turn into a ferocious ghost, and he was letting her inner demon grow stronger. He replied that the lake is full of evil Kai and speculated about what would happen if he also became a ferocious ghost after he jumped into it. Besides, she is a ghost already. She complained that he is a boring man, and he countered that she is just a module, so she doesn't have the right to complain about his gender. A few moments later, they arrived at Shadow Village. Conquest mentioned that Nai Hongsu's inner demon directly reflects the entire Shadow Village in her memory, and she has a strong inner demon, so it looked like he was doomed. Elin slashed one of the villagers without any warning. Another villager exclaimed that it was horrible and demanded Elin explain why he did that, while another villager interrogated him about who he was and why he was killing people randomly. He muttered that they are so noisy. The Scourge module laughed and teased that it seemed that he was the same as her former host. Elin cautioned her not to be ridiculous because her former host is Conquest, a villain who destroyed the world, and he is not her. Those villagers are just illusions created by Nai Hongsu's inner demon, and he is not a villain, but he doesn't think they deserve to live. She challenged whether he really needed to kill them and remarked that he was the same as her former host. He explained that whether those villagers are accomplices of the man who killed Nai Hongsu or not, in her eyes, they are all bad people. On the one hand, they feared being eaten by ghosts, so they demanded Nai Hongsu to kill ghosts, and on the other hand, they worried that if Nai Hongsu killed all the ghosts, they would have no food, and she queried how he was so sure. He wondered why Nai Hongsu's inner demon reflects the whole Shadow Village. He explained that it was her demon world, so except for them, the others are all her inner demons, and those villagers are her targets and her inner demons. The villagers screamed and pleaded for someone to save them. The Scourge module concluded that he didn't choose to save Nai Hongsu but killed all her enemies, so he is a villain. And he devised such a way to break her inner demon, so he is evil and is also a liar. A few moments later, Nai Hongsu emerged and declared that all of them must die because those who hurt and deceived her must die. Elin observed that she was finally there and reassured her that he had done it for her, so she shouldn't worry, as he killed all of them. The Scourge module wondered why she suddenly sensed that he was spoiling Nai Hongsu, and she cursed as she realized that they were so sweet. Nai Hongsu was stunned and puzzled. Elin questioned what happened to her, and the Scourge module explained that she wanted to take revenge, but she found out that her enemies were all dead before she could do anything, and she had never seen that, so no one would know what to do in such a situation. He verified whether she had broken her inner demon. Nai Hongsu mentioned that she needs some time to sort everything out. Elin remarked that she could recognize him, so she was already fine, and he contemplated that if he didn't succeed, he would have cast Jinx on her. But he didn't need to do it anymore. She expressed that he has saved her 2 times, and she doesn't know how she should repay his kindness, as she is only a soul at the moment and she has nothing except for a lotus seed she took before she died. He wondered if a soul could carry something that once belonged to it when it was alive and reflected that he had never heard of it. She lamented that it was a pity that she hadn't even made the lotus seed into preserves. The system notified that he obtained the item ordinary lotus seed, and he realized that it was definitely something because ordinary items are always the most practical ones. But there is no explanation of how to use it aside from no one knows what will happen after eating it, so obviously, he has to eat it. The system notified that he had merged with ordinary lotus seed successfully and activated the Lotus Secret Realm, which is a new space he hasn't seen. It is a floating island, and it exists inside his body. His spiritual sense could enter and exit at will, and he could plant, mine, explore, and do other things. He could make contracts with various races in different inner worlds and bring them in there, and they would be his excellent workers, and for more functions, it requested that he explore it himself. The storage space of apostles could only store items, but Lotus Secret Realm is a small world under his control, so he likes Nai Hongsu. Meanwhile, outside his consciousness, Nai Hongsu gently inquired if he was okay and admitted that it was her fault and she shouldn't have given him that bitter lotus seed. She worried that it was the only thing she had, and she was anxious to repay his kindness, and to comfort her. He not only accepted the worthless lotus seed but also ate it at the expense of hurting his body. She insisted that he was so nice to her and he shouldn't harm his body for her anymore, so she would suck out that lotus seed immediately. She sucked the lotus seed from Yilin's mouth. Suddenly, Yilin woke up. She softly checked if he was feeling better. He responded that she is much sweeter than preserves and concluded that if he praises her and makes her happy, maybe she won't betray him in the future. He requested that she help Bai Xiaoxiao remove her inner demon, and he speculated that he should see what her reaction would be first. Meanwhile, Nai Hongxiu assumed that he was afraid that she would think that she couldn't do anything for him, so he asked her to help him, and he cares about Bai Xiaoxiao, so she will be with him until she comes to her end. She agreed while deciding that from that point onward, she was his. On the other hand, the Scourge module noted that Yilin made Nai Hongxiu go berserk and be affected by her inner demon, so she wondered why she was thanking him. Besides, he didn't even bother to deal with the inner demon of another soul, so she has been totally enchanted by him, and he is absolutely a villain. A few moments later, Yilin came back to the Lichai Hotel and remarked that he just needed to wait for Mo Lai to finish her work. He looked at his attributes panel. He inquired if the Scourge module had been partly repaired and if it was because he used new skills to replace the broken ones in the skill balls. It should let him see what will happen if he fuses 3 skill fragments into a random new skill. The fragments were rebuilding. He received a grade of skill, killing. It was indicated that it would generate a new skill, but it was one of the skills of others he had seen before, and he concluded that he could already kill those cyborgs easily. He queried which skill should be upgraded when the system notified that his friend Lai Change had sent him a message. He was requesting for help. Yilin inquired if Lai Change was in some serious trouble, and he replied that he would tell him when he saw him, so he should be quick. He recalled that nothing serious happened to Lai Change in his previous life and he lived a happy life, so he wondered if his rebirth changed the world line. It seems that he has to go to Hating City to find him. On the other hand, a security guard patrolled the central hospital. He could hear a patter echo through the hallway. He got nervous. He called out who was there. He wondered aloud if there was nobody, but he insisted that he heard footsteps. The light in that corridor has been broken for so long, and they should have changed it a long time ago, as it is so frightening. But that hospital is too stingy. He was alarmed when he sensed the presence behind him. He quickly looked over his shoulder. He recognized Dr. Zhang, and he queried whether she was working overtime again. He remarked that as a doctor, she should take care of herself because he watched the news that day that in the past 2 days, 2 young people suddenly died from overwork, and both of them were in their 20s, so she should strike a proper balance between work and rest. She just walked past him and laughed. He urged that she believe him because the news has reported everything in detail, and he mentioned that one of them is a female doctor from a hospital in their city. She should look because the news stated that the female doctor was only 26 years old, and she was such a poor girl as she never got married. She is a doctor in their hospital, and her name is Zhang. He was terrified when he came to a realization. She wondered if he was talking about her. 2 days later, Yilin arrived at Hating City. Hating City is located in the east of the Dragon Kingdom, and unlike the small county of Qingcheng City, it is a cosmopolitan city and is known as the Oriental Dragon Tower, and in his memory, it was one of the last fortresses of humans in his previous life. Suddenly, a delivery truck stopped in front of him. The delivery man greeted him, and as he verified if he was Yilin, he informed him that it was his package and requested that he sign for it, which made him ponder what it was. The delivery man thanked him and expressed that he was looking forward to serving him again. Pan Zhengyi burst out of the box and exclaimed that someone wanted to hurt him. When he saw Pan Zhengyi and a dagger made of star steel, Yilin knew that the package was from Mo Lai, and she not only tracked his phone but also predicted the time when he would arrive in Hating City. The strange color on the blade is like slowly flowing blood, and it could absorb light so it doesn't have any reflection under the sunlight, which is a perfect weapon for assassination. It is as red as blood, and Mo Lai made it, so he will call it Bloody Moly. Pan Zhengyi mentioned that the girl named Mo Lai claimed that Yilin wanted to sleep with him, but he retorted that he should piss off and grumbled that he lacked enough luck, so he would take him, a lucky dog, to offset his bad luck. Suddenly, Zhang Hanlu approached them. She is Lai Chang's agent, and as she excused herself, she confirmed whether he was Yilin and reflected that she didn't expect him to be so young. As the sun set and evening came, Zhang Hanlu called Lai Chang and informed him that she brought them there. He thanked her and remarked that he had something important to discuss with Yilin so she could go ahead with her work, to which she responded okay. Yilin was speechless when Lai Chang abruptly pleaded that he should help him. Pan Zhengyi muttered that he was a jerk. Lai Chang cursed, and as he demanded what the madman was doing there, he countered that he was not a jerk but a charming man who conquered his enemies with his charisma. But Pan Zhengyi mocked that others laugh at him for being too crazy, but they don't know him. Yilin prompted Lai Chang to explain what it was he wanted to see him about. Lai Chang warned that he may not believe him, but he suspects he is possessed. Pan Zhengyi was startled, while Yilin was unamused. He suggested to him if he could turn off that frightening effect of his skill first, to which he agreed. Lai Chang recounted that it all goes back to the night 2 days ago when he sensed that something invisible was on his body every night. Lai Chang mentioned that he just finished shooting at the Hating Film Studio that day, and Zhang Hanlu was supposed to pick him up. But she didn't feel well. The studio was not far from that villa, and he didn't want to take a taxi, so he walked back. It was late at night, and there was no one on the street. It was dark and a little bit cold, but Yilin interrupted that he should get to the point. He explained that it was the point because at that moment, he suddenly felt that someone was looking at him behind his back. He sensed that the gaze was getting closer to him, and Pan Zhengyi queried what happened. He responded that he looked back and found nothing, and Pan Zhengyi wondered if that was all because he was already halfway done taking his pants off. Lai Chang clarified that although he didn't see anyone, he was sure that the gaze was still there, and as Yilin urged that he should go ahead, he continued that he came back, and Zhang Hanlu also lived there, but she lived on the first floor while he lived on the second floor. He was so tired after shooting that day that he went to bed as soon as he got home. In the middle of the night, he wanted to pee, but he felt like someone pressed on his quilt, which made him unable to move. Pan Zhengyi laughed, and Lai Chang warned that he shouldn't look at him like that because he knew what he assumed, and there was nothing between him and Zhang Hanlu. Yilin speculated if it was sleep paralysis. He inquired Lai Chang if he saw the ghost, and he replied no, but what he expressed was true. He should trust him. It is not just in that villa. He would be suppressed when he slept in a hotel or the studio, and it happens every night. Pan Zhengyi proposed that he could just stay up, but Lai Chang objected that he is different from him. He is a normal person, and normal people will die if they don't sleep. Yilin questioned Lai Chang if he assumed it was a male ghost or a female ghost, and he guessed it was female. He probed him if he got any uncomfortable feelings, and he responded nope. He queried him if his apostle panel showed a negative state and if his health decreased when he was pressed, and he answered no. Yilin concluded that it was all he was trying to say because he is not affected and it is a female ghost, so he should feel good. Lai Chang conceded that it sounded reasonable and he couldn't refute it, but he pondered what was with that evil smile and realized that he merely found it troublesome and wanted to leave him alone. Suddenly, Zhang Hanlu called him and informed that another master was there, and he stated that he was entrusted to solve his problem and he didn't make an appointment, but she supposed it was up to him to decide whether to meet him or not. Lai Chang revealed that he secretly asked Zhang Hanlu to find some experts in that field a few days ago, but they haven't made any progress, and he still has that feeling every night, so he told her that Yilin was a master just to cover up for him. After all, he can't tell others that he is an apostle. He instructed that Zhang Hanlu should let him in. Zhang Dahai greeted that it was nice to meet Lai Chang, and he introduced himself as the only disciple of the 98th generation of the Ivory Mountain sect. He observed that his yintang looks dark and there is something ominous between his eyebrows, so it seems that he has been pestered by something horrible, and Lai Chang wondered if he could see it. He requested for him to help him and assured that money was not a problem, which made Zhang Dahai laugh, and he insisted that he didn't care about the money so he could give him as much as he wanted, and he agreed okay. Zhang Dahai cursed, and he speculated if he was an idiot because he was just going through the formalities. He verified if those two must be Yilin and his assistant and mentioned that Zhang Hanlu told him about them. The moral degeneration of the world is getting worse by the day because kids like them even dare to fool people. Lai Chang laughed and invited Zhang Dahai to come to his room and check what pressed him. A few moments later, they went to Lai Chang's bedroom on the second floor of the villa. Zhang Dahai remarked that there was so much evil Kai, and Lai Chang pleaded that he help him get rid of it. Zhang Dahai opened his suitcase on the floor. He reassured that Lai Chang shouldn't be afraid because no ghost could hide from him. Suddenly, the room went dark. Yilin perceived that there is something. Fortunately, Nai Hongxiu has removed Bai Xiao's inner demon so he could use the soul-attached card again. But Zhang Dahai suddenly warned that he shouldn't do anything or he will ruin his plan. If he wanted to play cards, he should go to his friends, and he should just watch how he, a real master, would subdue demons. He assumed that he would put on an act and press the button on the bottom of that instrument to turn off the indicator light. Everything would be fine so he couldn't disturb him. Suddenly, his instrument beeped rapidly. He realized that something was wrong because he hadn't pressed the button to turn it on yet, and as he puzzled why it started to beep and it kept on beeping, he cursed and wondered if there was really a ghost in that room. Although Zhang Dahai is the only disciple of the 98th generation in the Ivory Mountain sect, Most of the useful skills have been lost for so many years, and in the years he pretended to be a master. He relied on 10% of what his master taught him, 10% of his acting skills, and 80% of what he learned from the internet, so he is doomed. Pan Zhengyi inquired how old he was and why he still had a runny nose and remarked that he shouldn't eat it because it's salty. And Lai Chang questioned if he was okay. Suddenly, blood spurted out of Zhang Dahai, and he fell on the floor. Lai Chang cursed and grumbled that it was okay if Yulin couldn't solve his problem, and as he demanded why he killed Zhang Dahai, Yulin used the red and white on bloody moly. The system notified that he had successfully activated it, and requested that he figure out how to use a soul-attached weapon by himself, as it may turn against him, but it assured that it seems that he doesn't need to worry about that. Yulin summoned Bai Xiaoxiao, as he would let her check it first, and that way, he could see if Nai Hongxiu really removed her inner demon. Lai Chang exclaimed that it was another ghost, and as he screamed, he demanded Yulin explain what he was doing and complained that he hadn't solved his problem yet he made a new one. Bai Xiaoxiao laughed and wondered what she could do for Yulin, and he instructed that she should share her vision with him while noting silently that she looks fine. She confirmed briefly, and the vision-sharing, soul sight, was activated. Another soul was seen in the room. Yulin acknowledged that he knew that it was an ownerless soul. The soul screamed. He speculated if he irritated her, and Bai Xiaoxiao supposed that she doesn't like to be stared at by him and she is going to attack him. He declared that he would let the world feel pain from that moment on, and Bai Xiaoxiao recalled suddenly what he did to her in Giwu Mountain. The jinx, dizziness, was activated, and Yulin suggested that they should close the door because Pan Zhengyi will take care of it. Pan Zhengyi expressed that the world is so beautiful, but she is so irritable, which is not good, so she should let him change her with love. He used his skill, love spinning. The two of them spun around the room aggressively. Being the only one who couldn't see the ownerless soul, Lai Chang cursed and demanded Pan Zhengyi explain what he was doing, why he was rolling in his bedroom, and if he was nuts. He complained that he shouldn't ruin his room and that Yulin not only didn't help him but also summoned a new ghost, and he wondered if they weren't afraid. Bai Xiaoxiao considered that they should be afraid of them, evil people. Yulin admitted that he has to say that Lai Chang's intuition is right, and it was a female ghost. To be exact, it is an ownerless female soul. But he reassured him that he shouldn't worry because he is already safe, as Pan Zhengyi has her under control. And Lai Chang wondered if he meant that the madman could also see that ownerless soul. Yulin questioned if he didn't remember that when they were clearing the instance in Giwu Mountain, they got the ordinary ghost-killing skill, but Pan Zhengyi got the ghost-killing essence, and he clarified that it was the reason why he could see ownerless souls even though he hadn't made contracts with other souls. Lai Chang was puzzled as he recalled that they got the ghost-devouring skill, and Yulin explained that a weapon could summon souls when he used a soul-attached card on it. And when the apostle who has the soul-attached weapon dies in the inner world, the weapon will disappear. But there is another situation because the power of the tower is almost omnipotent in the inner world. But it seems to have many restrictions in the real world. So when an apostle dies in the real world, his soul-attached weapon won't disappear, but detach the soul, and that soul will become ownerless. Lai Chang demanded why that ownerless soul pestered him, and Yulin replied that maybe it was because he had high charisma. Lai Chang pleaded for help and insisted that it was all his fault. He implored if Yulin could ask her to let him go, but he declined firmly, because they speak different languages. The language used in each trial given by the inner world may not be the same. But apostles were registered by the tower, so no matter which language it is, it could automatically change into the apostle's mother tongue, which is why in the inner world, there is no language problem. But the former owner of that ownerless soul died in the real world, and she became a wandering soul and lost her identity as a registered soul. Lai Chang whispered and proposed if he could just kill her since he could see her. The soul roared in agony. Yulin inquired Lai Chang what would happen if they failed and remarked that he should just imagine the way he would die. He speculated that she is a soul from the inner world like Nai Hongxiu and Bai Xiaoxiao, and it is hard to find souls in the inner world, but Lai Chang is not capable enough to sign a contract with that soul. He instructed that Lai Chang should call an ambulance and send Zhang Dahai to the hospital. Lai Chang wondered if he was still alive, and he confirmed yes, and he should give him a list of all the people he met recently. Lai Chang agreed okay, and he will ask Zhang Hanlu to do it right away. He questioned what they were going to do next, and Yulin responded that it was sleep. Lai Chang worried if that was all and what would happen if the ghost attacked him when Yulin was asleep, and he replied that he may rest in peace. Lai Chang cursed as he felt that Yulin didn't care about his life but had other aims. The next day, Lai Chang waited for Yulin. Yulin wondered if he got up so early. He responded that he didn't sleep all night. Yilin verified with him if he was sure that the list Jiang Hanlu sent him didn't leave anyone out. He confirmed that he is pretty sure because a big star like him won't have much of a private life, and recently, he has been either filming in the studio or attending fan meetings, and all the people present were registered. Yilin contemplated that he had sent the list to Mo Lai, so he only had to wait when Lai Chang queried him what he was going to do with the list. He explained that the reason why he was haunted by an ownerless soul is that his charisma attribute is too high. Perhaps he had been in close distance with the former owner of that soul, or the weapon she was once attached to, and they call her ownerless soul because her owner died. Therefore, the former owner of that ownerless soul must be one of the dead people on the list, and by following that lead, he could figure out what happened, and he could find a way to comfort that ownerless soul so that she won't pester him anymore. He will make her come to him and become his. She won't hurt anyone else. He concluded that she just wants to find a new owner, and souls are good workers who don't need food, water, and salary, so he is happy to take her in. Lai Chang exclaimed that he didn't expect Yilin to be so brave and righteous, but he wondered what was with that look. And Pan Zhengyi interjected that he is the righteous one, as Yilin just wants to give her a home. Yilin saw that Mo Lai was calling and acknowledged that it was no wonder she was a genius because she got it done so soon. She mentioned that she had checked and 3 people on the list died. One of them was an experienced visual effects artist on Lai Chang's team, and the other 2 were his female fans. She inquired if he was friends with Lai Chang, the best actor, and he instructed that she should just send him the location of their bodies. She complained what was with that attitude and protested that he calls her when he has problems but kicks her away when he has nothing to do. And he reassured her that she is of great help, but he will call her when he doesn't have anything to do then. She wondered what he was talking about and clarified that she didn't mean that. She has sent him the location, but he shouldn't do it again because she is busy. Yilin wondered if she hung up and remarked that she was a proud girl, and she hadn't changed at all. Lai Chang should come with him, as they should see who the former owner of that ownerless soul is. Lai Chang queried how they could know which one is her former owner. Yilin questioned Lai Chang if he doesn't think that she will respond when she sees her former owner, and Lai Chang worried if she will be sad, angry, desperate, or out of control. He realized that she is currently on his body, and if she goes crazy, he will be in danger. A few moments later, they arrived at the first central hospital. At the morgue, Lai Chang confirmed if it was the one, and Yilin shook his head. A few hours later, they went to number 6 hospital of Hating City. Lai Chang verified if it was the one, and Yilin replied no, there was still no response from her. A few moments later, they arrived at the Joint Investigation Department at Pudong District Branch in Hating City, and Lai Chang noted that it was the last place, but it is the Joint Investigation Department, so he queried how they could get in. Yilin sent Bai Xiao in to check the situation because ordinary people can't see souls, but apostles could, and they have to share his soul's sight to see an ownerless soul. He was suddenly surprised, and Lai Chang wondered if there was anything wrong. Yilin realized that there was no one inside the building, and even the monitoring room was empty.